What's up, everybody? Welcome to another SMITE update show. It's your boy Dandy, pardon me, and we are back and excited to talk about the 5th update of SMITE's Year 11. You know I couldn't do this alone. You know I'm joined by some talented people, so let's introduce them right now. We have Ro, Lermy, and J-Mac hanging out with me today.
What's up, guys?
How y'all doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
So excited for this patch, man. It's going to be big. We have a lot of really awesome changes. Little spoilers on Twitter if you want to look ahead, but we got a lot of cool stuff to get into before we get to that.
That's true. There's a lot of cool stuff to talk about today, and you know we're going to go over all of it. So I guess it's time that we dive right in, huh?
Yeah, let's get started.
Well, let's kick it off with the Immortal Honor event, something y'all should all be familiar with by now. It's been going all year, and it's going to keep going throughout SMITE's Year 11. For those who don't know, I'm going to run it by you one more time. Immortal Honor is a 2 skins per update event that's running all year, and don't worry, all of the skins are cross-gen, so if you got to play a little SMITE 2 recently, then you know what I'm talking about. Those skins are going to be available as the game continues to push towards release, as those gods become available in the game, and you're already going to have skins for them. So there's 3 ways to get skins from this event, from the Immortal Honor event, and it's buy them one at a time. If you're like, hey, I like that one, that's the only real one for me, that's my main, buy that one, no worries. If you're like, ooh, this whole chapter's popping off, like this second chapter's really got the skins for me, buy the whole chapter. Or if you're like, you know, 24 skins for SMITE 1, 24 skins for SMITE 2, 48 skins total. I'm just going to buy them all. They're going to keep releasing bangers all year. You can do that as well. So, but you've heard me say that all before. I know y'all already know. Y'all be remembering. So how about we just look at what the skins are for this patch instead, starting with Wraith Rider Guan Yu.
Ooh, we
Yeah,
are probably starting off strong with that name.
Well, Guan Yu, yeah.
Oh, yep, totally
Ooh.
right. Love this one. I love this like spectral theme, right? We come back to it every so often, but it kind of makes sense with Guan, right? You know, kind of like Horsemen of the Apocalypse vibes. Yeah.
As well with his weapon as well, you always have these really cool trails and these big
Ooh.
glows.
Yeah,
Dude,
I
you're
agree.
so right with that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I love the blue flames kind of thing. Like as you mentioned earlier, you know, the spectral style. I just love this kind of color palette in general.
Yeah, I do be loving some edgy skins, and Guan has a couple, but this one feels like it hits a whole new vibe.
It does, and I'm always a fan of the different pets in these as well.
Yeah.
Pets going to be a big topic for this update, but
you'll see.
specifically for Guan Yu, I just love seeing the variety of horse. You know, my boy's got got the horse.
Dude, he's got no. Where's his face at?
Ooh.
The zoom in gave it the right time.
I think J-Mac was saying it earlier. Like, Guan really do be hiding his face.
On the shoulders. There it is.
He doesn't want to be known.
No.
He wants to be known, but not to be visually known.
He's a spooky little ghost.
His actions do all the speaking.
Boots are cool. He's like turned down toes.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
talons, kind of.
Dude, this armor is sick.
It is very sick.
It's gotta be like so uncomfortable to wear shoes like that, though.
What do
Like, where do your other 2 toes go?
Nah, you got the grip.
I'm more worried
works
about
out.
his horse, actually. Yeah.
That's true. All heel, no toe.
Yeah.
Let's check this one out in game.
Oh. Yep, that one's sick.
He's got like still got the inquisitive, like, yes, of course.
Yeah. With no chin, by the
Yeah,
way.
no beard or anything like that.
He's adjusting the bottom of the cloak, is what it is.
Yes, yeah, there you go.
You got like that.
This is real nice. Does he even use this? That's just hanging out there.
Well, that's the backup. If he ever loses the big one,
Ever loses the Guan Dao, he's got the sword on lockdown.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, let's see those abilities, though.
Yeah, let's see what
this
he looks like
This
in
one,
action.
as far as I remember, we've got some pretty cool effects for this one, and of course, a banger voice pack for sure. But even the like footstep trail, super cool. Ooh,
And the targeter.
Faces.
Okay.
That's spooky.
Cool targeter, cooler effects. All right, that's sick.
Like outlines it as it.
Oh, and the sounds. It's like a hiss almost.
Yeah,
Dude, that's so cool.
that is cool.
Swift as the darkness.
Yeah, these colors are fun.
There will be no
Trying to turn
escape.
fast to be able
Ooh.
to see the effects.
Right.
Swift as the
Oh, I
darkness.
See the shadows.
I didn't set the bots to. They'll be all right.
There will be no escape.
Casualties.
They don't look all right.
Can we talk about this voice though? He's got this like deep. I don't even know what the right word is. It's kind of like.
Look at the passive. Look at the passive effect.
Oh my gosh,
like
dude, the
holes.
spirits coming out and
Yeah.
everything. Okay, let's see that. Oh,
It's the horse.
oh my god. Well, I gotta get the Penta.
I was about to say, finish it off.
Yeah, baby.
Nice.
Might as well throw another.
2.
Yeah, this skin's awesome.
It is super awesome. I agree. I love the trail of fire behind the horse. Just absolutely incredible. Horrifying thing to watch gallop at you down lane.
Dude,
So,
I can't get over those sounds.
Yeah.
Those sounds are so
Oh.
cool.
the people who work on the sounds in this game are incredible. But obviously, like I said earlier, it's going to be in Smite 2 as well. So let's look at that Smite 2 render to see what that looks like.
Oh, with the
Dang,
horse?
the horse.
Shines, yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow. Dude, our team is killing it with these renders.
Absolutely beautiful. So, like I said, there's 2 skins with every update. So that was one of them. The second one is Street King Sun Wukong.
Oh, this theme is
Yeah,
great.
so this one, this is a funny one. Yeah.
Look at my boy.
I love this one. This voice pack is awesome. He has a lot of like Y2K-esque references. He goes a little booyah, gets a little
We got a
crazy
booyah? Okay.
in there. Yeah, no, this is a very funny voice pack. This skin has got a lot of personality. The effects are really fun. I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Yeah, you can see he's popular apparently. Like people got taking
He's the
pictures of him.
boy.
Yeah. Whenever he shows up on the street, like that's the street to be on, apparently. So yeah, another super cool skin, another one of the ones available in this. Ooh, all right, there he is.
Oh, he just looks fresh.
He does look fresh.
Dude, nice kicks.
I love
Nice
the
shades.
I love the vest.
Oh, the vest is nice too.
I want that vest.
It feels very Marty McFly almost.
Yeah.
It does kind
Let
of
me get on it. We need this vest for Danny for the next patch notes.
Agreed. I kind of want the drip. This would be a good cosplay, cause like
This is a good like
Oh, this is
casual
great,
cosplay
yeah,
too,
right?
Yeah.
Like you could just do the outfit like without having to do the full fursuit if you don't want to, but got the bandana and everything. I absolutely love it, and those pit vipers. Let's just shout out to those. All right, let's check out that Smite 2 render real quick.
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
Look at those
Where's
sunglasses.
the textures? Such a big upgrade in this
Yeah,
engine.
it really does look that much better, right? Like you can see the visual upgrade of like the fur quality. Like that really does feel like fur on an animal. You know what I mean?
It
like
does.
it just gives it that extra oomph.
It really does. And again, that's the big pull of this whole thing is it was like, oh, like there's the visual update, there's all the stuff we can do with it. It's just the new engine and how much hard work they're putting into it. It's always fun to get little glimpses into it.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, that'll do it for the Immortal Honor event. But we do have one more thing to talk about in the chest or in the skin world. We're doing a chest. We got a prismatic chest coming up with this next update.
Ooh.
And this skin's really cool looking. This one, get an eyeful of this. We have the Prismatic Gust Kukulkan. And that's just
Wow.
That's pretty card art.
Huge.
This card art really sells that like sense of scale
Yeah.
so well. With the deer in the foreground too, like it like fades away when you're looking at Kukulkan, but like when you look at the whole picture of the like composition here, it just owns.
Yeah, this is a poster, right? This is a
I
big,
could put
like,
this on my wall.
That's true.
Yeah.
This is wall
I
work.
feel like I'm walking to an open world raid boss with that one. Like I'm just casually strolling through the field, and all of a sudden this just pops down from the heavens. Like I gotta fight this.
Or like you're in a level and like all of a sudden like this big thing shows up in the background and you're like, oh, that's what I have to go and fight. I gotta get there.
Yeah.
That boss, you can fight that.
Like, yeah, fight
You'll
the
lose, but you
fight
can
the mighty
that.
serpent dragon. You're like, okay, this can't be that bad. The mighty serpent dragon they tell you to fight.
Yeah, 1/100th of its size.
Oh, dude, the colors on this
colorful.
skin.
Dude, the
horns,
wings.
yeah.
Well, they
Yeah.
said prismatic. They weren't lying.
That's true.
They were not. Man,
It's
that is
also
so
like
pretty.
really bright. Like it's lit up almost.
I completely agree. I
Shine
just
on the wings.
yeah, the prismatic effect is such a cool one, and to see it brought into a character like this, I think deserves a glance in game. So
Yeah.
let's dive in and look at that.
There you
Oh,
go.
dude, it looks. The lighting on this is just so incredible.
It is. I'll take a bow.
He's
You-
so
you've earned
bright.
Wow, they're humble.
it. I just love the prismatic effect in general, but like
Shiny.
it's one of those things where you could just throw it on something, but obviously the work of like where does it apply best to a skin? It's just incredible to see done like this.
Yeah.
And of course
Oh.
the effects.
Cloud's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the 2 as well.
Tornado.
Oh,
there.
that is a nice
Radiance
tornado.
going up and down.
Yeah. Changing colors.
Dude, that might be one of the prettiest tornadoes, if not the prettiest tornado in Smite.
All right, now we gotta see it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Classic.
Yep.
Again, just that prismatic color changing thing really brings it all to life.
It's a rainbow.
All right, absolutely love it. And again, this is going to be available in the prismatic chest, with update 11.5. That's next Tuesday. That's right around the corner.
Galaxies.
So let's see the Smite 2 render. I mean, we might as well. It's gonna be
Yeah.
Smite 2. We gotta see the Smite 2 render.
Oh, the lighting looks even better.
It does.
Imagine these
Dude.
abilities going down like a dark
Oh my
corridor in
god.
the jungle
Lighting
in
it
Smite
up.
2 as well. Yeah, really cool. All these
Dude, I
different
can't wait to see the effects, what they do with that in Smite 2. That's gonna be next level.
It's going to be incredibly next level. Smite, too cool. All right. So that's the first little bit of skins we're talking about. We're gonna take a break. Got some other things to talk about. Plenty more in this update to go over. But let's hop into some news first. Let's just do. This is just the me talking. And sorry, my voice sounds like a gravel road. I know allergies are beating me to death. So first up, I know there's a much cooler video than what I'm about to say that already said this, but I'm gonna say it live and in person. Thank y'all for playing Smite 2 this last weekend. That was so cool. Seeing people be able to finally get into this game, this project of love that everybody around here has been working on for so long, so hard, like seeing it go from, and I think I tweeted this, but like from a whiteboard idea, from like a what if, you know, like how would we do it? What would this even mean? And watching it grow gradually from that stage to letting people in the doors finally at last in mass and try it out and give their candid feedback. It was absolutely incredible. It was breathtaking. And there are so many people around here that have loved working on this, but are reinvigorated beyond the passion they already had by seeing people come in and say, y'all are doing the right thing. Like, this is going in the right direction. It was an alpha, and we got so much good feedback, you know, like people are already pouring over the hundreds and hundreds of filled out surveys and tweets and Reddit posts. Like, if y'all were giving us feedback on, hey, this felt amazing, or hey, this didn't feel great, so maybe, we're pouring over all of that so that the next time we open the doors, hopefully the experience will be only better, strictly better. So absolutely thank you to everybody for getting in and playing those games, and we look forward to seeing you next time. I'm not going to keep, I could go forever, but there's a cool video that has a bunch of people saying thank you that's cooler than me saying it, so we'll move on. Next up, I just wanted to shout out, I don't know if y'all have seen, but we got some friends over at Starforge. We worked with them a little bit, and we got this really cool Smite Starforge PC thing going. So if y'all are looking to, you know, maybe upgrade your rig a little bit, if like it's finally time, you got to get ready for Smite 2 and you're ready to commit to that new rig, or maybe you just want to look at a case, maybe you just want to, you know, beautify what you've already got. Definitely make sure to check out Starforge, because this thing is so cool looking. Like they, you know, ever since we first saw this, we were like, yeah, that we need more of those. So now y'all can get your hands on it if you're interested, and I highly recommend it because the PC is beautiful, both on the inside and outside if you're buying a full computer. So shout out to Starforge for making really cool stuff. So moving forward, we got a little bit of esports news to go over. The Creator Cup going strong. It's been a beautiful thing to watch happen, and now we're working towards group stages. So as you can see here on the screen, you got all the info you need, but group stages are on the way. So make sure y'all are tuning in, watching these incredible cups, watching these teams play it off as we kind of work towards the end of what has been a very, very enjoyable event. So again, shout out to the Content Creator Cup. It's been really fun to watch, and I'm excited to see group stages go live quite shortly. So, all right, y'all heard me talk. I'm sure you're sick of it. So we're going to move on to letting other people who know cool stuff about what's changing this patch talk. And we're going to get into it with game mode balance, I guess. So there's, you know, quite a few things changing. We got a lot of little game mode switcheronies. But let's start with ranked. Ranked is getting a soft reset.
Yep, every other patch, which is starting on the odd patches. Ranked is going to be soft reset. So coming this patch, Conquest, Duel, Joust, all soft reset.
Rock and roll.
Back to racing, back to that Grandmaster. If you're in Grandmaster already, you get reset back down to Diamond 1 and race back up to the top again. Sounds fun to watch. Yeah,
sounds good. Watch people get back on that grind. Cool. Short and sweet for the first one, but now we're moving into another kind of familiar update beat, a regular cycle. Duel. We've been switching around the bands, you know, changing what can and can't be played, and we have a new list this time.
Yeah, so this list is definitely a little bit more interesting than the past couple. The past few were going to be, you know, a little bit more thematic, a little bit more, you know, for fun. But we are returning back to a bit more of a competitive band list here.
Okay.
You definitely saw a lot of the feedback surrounding the more like thematic ones, and that, you know, it was interesting for a little bit, but there were a lot of gods on this list that just did not make sense to play very much in Duel, and we understood that going into it, but we definitely saw the feedback that you guys wanted a bit more of a competitive list. So what we did for this list is, you can see a lot of gods unbanned here. We've gone back and we you know, talked with a lot of content creators. We interviewed them and polled them for what they thought should be banned, and then we used that plus a bunch of data to influence our next list, which you will see coming up next is the new banned gods.
All right.
And shocker, shocked, surprised, anyone? Probably not. A lot of very strong characters that are, typical dual gods currently banned. And then we have a couple ones that are not getting unbanned in the next patch. They were also good from last time. We'll be seeing these guys at a later date.
They'll be sticking around. Or sticking
Or not sticking around.
Yeah. They're sticking around in the
Staying
like
away.
banned pool. Yeah. So they just haven't left the banned pool.
Yeah.
So well, cool. Yeah, awesome to see you continue to iterate through that, and all the conversations about like how can we continue to make this experience feel good, just with the bans alone, So.
Yeah, last touch on the duel thing. I do want to mention that we are still evaluating, how much people are liking this. So if you guys do have feedback on any future ban lists that you want, let us know. If you like the ban list at all, or if you don't want the ban list, we are still kind of in that process of, how much are we actually enjoying that. We are finally at a point where we feel like we can really evaluate the system as a whole, because we've had a lot of different kinds of ban lists at this point. Some competitive, some more fun, and we want to make a further decision on that in the future in terms of what kind of list that you want. So please let us know. And thank you so much for enjoying Duel thus far.
I mean, I've said it a billion times. Everybody always says it. Your feedback is pivotal to us. Like, we're making the game for y'all. And if y'all don't like it, you need to tell us so we can make you like it more. It's just a mutual thing. We're always working on it. We're always looking out. So yeah, keep up the feedback. Y'all are awesome. Let's keep going. So next up, I feel like the header kind of says a lot here. So I'm gonna read the header and then let you kind of get into it. /refreshed.
Right.
Yeah.
Please.
So throwback to a couple months ago, if you can recall that far.
I can't.
So
sorry.
far away.
Not me.
Slash was a 4v4 mode for a short period of time, and we learned a lot of lessons from that period of time. So what we've got here are a couple changes, some influenced by the 4v4 test, some not. Slash is still staying 5v5, to be completely clear. That's not changing. We're just making updates to the mode, having taken a lot of information and inspiration from ideas that came from that period. So let's get into what they are.
Okay.
First up on the docket, we did change the gold spooling going into the 4v4 mode, and we noticed that people kind of like that change. So what we're doing is we're kind of meeting halfway here. Still, again, 5v5 mode, but the gold spooling is going up from 8 per second to 9 per second.
Rock and roll.
I think players, when because briefly we made, I think, 10 gold per second for that 2-week period. And when we changed it back, people really noticed when we changed it back. So we're just meeting them in the middle, and hopefully they'll like it. And when there's 5 players around, there's more people sharing the farm. So bringing up the spooling is what gives you your gold.
Yeah, that makes sense. So next up, it looks like Apophis might be a little enhanced at some point.
Yeah, so there was kind of a duality of Slash experiences, you might say, where some people were having Slash games that were ending really, really quickly, and some were having games that were going way too long, and there was kind of, they averaged out, of course, but there were no, like, real, true, significant numbers of those, like, normal games that are, like, 20 minutes long, what you'd expect.
Yeah, the expectation.
So what we want to do is we want to start not like adding a hard cutoff, right? But we're trying to say at this point in the game, which is 20 minutes, which is when Enhanced Apophis spawns, that's when the game should kind of be getting towards their close. We want to start encouraging people to really go for that end at that point. So what we're doing here is, now that Apophis enhances at 20 minutes, when you kill Enhanced Apophis, it's more important than ever to get that, because now it's going to spawn 2 Juggernauts in both your lanes. So that is going to be a significant thing to push with in terms of actually breaking into those spaces and getting that extra advantage for the winning team. So you want to make sure you really do contest that Apophis once it gets enhanced, because that's going to be a very, very important objective.
That's a major objective right there.
Absolutely.
Can I make a call to action with this now?
Yeah, absolutely.
First person to send me a video, a clip or whatnot of getting 6 Juggernauts on the map at once.
Possible.
I'm looking for it, because you can already get 4. Now you can get 2 more.
Yeah, 6 at a time.
Wow.
That's going to be a lot.
Juggernaut power play. Okay.
And if you're not ending the game with that, then I don't know what to say.
I don't know how to help at that point.
Yeah. Maybe FF and try again. All right, so beyond Apophis, portals. Now, I know portals were already kind of a thing with the Juggernauts, but portals are getting something new, it seems.
So, in general, what we have felt is that it's been a little bit slow to get out of base, a little bit slow to get back into the fight. And so, previously, at least in last patch, we did a kind of relatively along the same vein change in Assault, where we gave a little extra out of base movement speed. We kind of wanted to use that same mentality. If we want to get you back into the fight sooner, we want to get you playing the game more. Yeah, the fun part, right?
The fun part.
So, we have added a portal. This portal is in the center of your base. You know how we have the portal on the left, portal on the right, and then kind of the space in the center. That center space is what's going to send you a little bit further into your jungle. There's the space for the Apophis Guardian. You got the blues, and then you have the speed. Where this puts you is kind of in the middle of all those things in that like little hallway. So you kind of have the option to go that way, or if you want to, take a left to your blue, take a right to your blue. Any of those options.
Defend one of your phoenixes as well.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. If you want to go into the sieging a bit more, it also presents some more interesting sieging.
Yeah, much more dynamic when players are coming from different angles rather than just sitting under your tower or your phoenix and waiting for them to push into you. You can kind of go around and gank them as well when
they
they're
get that
sieging.
pincer maneuver.
Yeah,
really fun.
And to be clear, it's only a one-way portal. It's only out of base.
No turnaround and going back. Once you're out, you're out.
Yes.
So.
And then to kind of compensate for this, because one thing that we did notice is that because you're getting such a significant head start out of your base, we're just taking down the out-of-base movement speed duration, not the actual amount, just the duration a little bit, because we don't want you to be running completely through the lanes, right? just to the lanes, essentially. So that's why that's getting adjusted.
Yeah, what we found was if you teleported into the jungle, then you're pretty far ahead, and if you still had that same amount of movement speed, you'd be running into the enemy jungle with that movement speed still. So we just had to reduce it a little bit, but you'll still probably get a bit further with the teleport anyway. So
Nice, cool.
Back to lane, back to the action.
Yeah, I was going to say, right back out to that action, being able to fight some more. So last but not least, looks like buff orb, just a little bit of a swapperoni.
Yeah, this is just a small quality of life thing. I know that our Conquest players know that the buffs being on the ground for a very long time is so nice. So nice to not be on that like super close time limit to be able to pick them up. So let's say you have a teammate that's going and clearing out the jungle for you. You usually don't have that much time to go back and get it. So having it linger on the ground a little bit longer is going to be really nice because you don't have to rush to get back there.
You don't have to skip a lane. You can, all right, I can clear minions.
You're not, oh crap, my teammate just cleared blue. You're like, okay, they cleared blue, I'll go get it after this wave.
And what feels really good is combining these two updates as well. If you see a buff dropped and you need to go back and buy an item, just buy an item, teleport into the jungle, pick up your buff, and go back to lane.
Boom. Easy as that. Well, cool. So that'll do it for Slash. But next up, this one feels kind of like big news right here. I don't know. Yeah. This one's pretty cool. Here's a name y'all might not have heard in a while. Odin's Onslaught.
It's back.
Seems like it's coming back. So dive in. What's bringing Odin Onslaught back to us?
Yeah, so we've been exploring a couple of these modes that have been previous mainstays for some duration of time, and Odin's Onslaught was a more recent one that people found a lot of enjoyment out of.
It was fun. It was fun.
One of the biggest reasons that we had to leave this behind previously was we did our HUD update, and that was really exciting, but we just did not have the technology to do the updated multi-team HUD. That's right. We've got the technology. We've got the power now.
We created it.
So all of that has been updated and ready to go, and so we're bringing it back.
That's right.
And I'm so excited. This mode is so much fun.
Nice. Well, I mean, I guess to get into it, for those of you who don't remember, Odin's Onslaught is the 2v2v2v2v2. It's a lot of twos. It's the team fight. You're first to earn, 40,000 gold, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, so, and it's just this huge jungle map focused around a big, cool tree. And you're just duking it out. It's fighting, it's farming, it's who can be the first to get to that gold checkpoint and win the game. So it was really, really fun. And there have been some changes to it. It seems like we're not just bringing it back as is. It seems like y'all dove in. We're like, let's change some things.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of changes here. But first, I do kind of want to do a quick refresher on like what this game mode actually is, what the phases look like.
Lay it out for us.
This is going to be pretty. Just run through this real fast. So. First thing that happens is you roll up and you want to do a couple jungle camps, but then you go into the Norns. The Norns are the first big objective that show up periodically around the map. You'll probably fight someone around that point, but there are several of them, and then when they all die, and as you'll see here, we've got some beautiful footage provided by yours truly. Don't watch too closely. I drop a hot veto in this game, but that's totally fine. It's worth it for the illustration. The Norns will spawn, and they are the oracle harpy-looking things.
Okay.
So when you kill them, you get a teleporter to go into the center of the map. There's some farm there. Once they all die, Needhog spawns. He's like kind of the big boss man.
Yeah, the big boss.
That cycle will happen 3 times where you kill the Norns, kill Needhog, and once that is complete, then you also have, scales that drop every time that you defeat Needhog. It's kind of like a little capture the flag moment.
I remember that.
Where you can take it back to certain shops on the map. And that gives you a bunch of gold. And again, your biggest goal is to just get a lot of money, so you're going to want to be farming.
Yeah.
And here you can see we've also adjusted the delivery amounts that you get in terms of delivering the scales and the skull. And then, you go through that cycle a couple of times. After the scale is delivered, the Norns respawn, Needhog comes back, etc., etc. Finally, after you do that 3 times, you will go into the center of the map one more time to fight Needhog. Again, one more time. And then he'll drop his skull, because you finally killed him. You did it. He's
took
done.
him out.
And that's going to provide you with the most gold on the map in terms of what's going to push you really over the edge to that 40K. So it's going to be very chaotic, very fun. and lots of gold to be earned throughout the map. So that's basically just a summary of what was there before. Let's talk about the new stuff now.
All right. Yeah, let's dive right into it. So there's been all kind of updates. I guess we'll dive in with spawn logic. So it seems like the spawning has changed a little bit.
Yeah, so one of the biggest complaints from the past round of Odin's Onslaught gameplay was that you would often not really spawn that close to your teammate. You'd spawn across the map. You'd spawn far from objectives. So the rules are just kind of updated now to be a little bit more robust. It's now just better at checking where your ally is, trying to put you closer to your allies, and being more conscientious of where enemies are as well and if they're in combat. So really the system is trying to keep you away from spawning in the midst of combat, and it's trying to get you closer to your teammate. That's kind of the TLDR of the updates there, without getting into too many specifics about the actual ins and outs of the system.
Yeah, all the crazy logic of the system. Well, cool. Always a fan of that. Always like being able to fight next to my teammate. So the assist system has also seen some changes.
Yes, another big discussion point around Odin's Onslaught was that kills just weren't really worth too much. And a lot of that was coming from the fact that if your team didn't get the kill, you weren't getting anything from the assist either. You got nothing, which was a bit tough, right? Because you spent all this time, all of this mana, energy, whatever it might be, into this fight, and you just didn't get the last hit, and now all of that has kind of gone for naught. And that's why farming was also pretty good, was because you always get something when you're farming, but if you don't get the kill, you got nothing. But now you get something, which is great. So even participating in a team fight will reward you with an assist, which is going to give you gold, which is always nice, 35%. So you're pretty happy about that.
Yeah, so just jumping into the fight, even if you don't secure the kill, you're like, oh, well, they're fighting. Might as well make my presence known to reap the benefits.
Yeah, I will say, role-playing Neath in these games did make that really easy for him.
I was testing some things. Right? These are play tests, and I think I fed this game too, for the record. After I got first blood on you.
But I mean, with the global ult, you know, you can be like, I got that assist.
Yeah. No, I was just aiming every time. I think I did go Jotun's first item, just getting CDR and ulting as much as possible.
See, it's the strats. That's why you watch this. You get the strats. So another thing to talk about is just a little polish on the capture points and then kind of pick up.
Yeah, exactly. So again, if we're going back to the feedback, we listened to a lot of that. We wanted to make sure that picking up the scales and the skulls felt as convenient and apparent as possible, both visually, auditorily, etc. So we've updated a couple of those things. There's more buff bar icons, there's more visuals on your player character itself, and hopefully a lot of that feels has just been improved.
Yeah, it was a thing we noticed sometimes with the last release of Odin's Onslaught is you would accidentally pick it up and you wouldn't really know what was happening because you were suddenly silenced and a little bit slowed. So it was balanced when you had that flag and weren't able to return it too quickly. Now it should be really clear and those intentional pickups should be much more obvious. For players that even new to the game mode, it should be very clear when you first pick it up.
Yeah.
Nice. Love to hear it. So next up, we're talking buffs, it looks like. And it looks like there's been kind of a lot of stat changes, a lot of changes to buffs in general. But one really cool change regarding who gets the buff when you slay a camp. So let's get into that.
Yeah, so previously there was a lot of like internal conflict within your teammates of who gets what buff. If you're playing with a random, you know, maybe you're just like, you know, I don't really trust this person with these buffs. I'm just gonna take it.
They don't need red buff.
They don't need red buff, no. But now everybody gets red buff. Everyone on your team, no matter where they are, whenever you secure buff, everybody gets a buff. So you can divide and conquer a little bit more effectively, or if you just feel like grouping up, you don't have to decide as much anymore. You all will be strong together. And that's the biggest change here, is that you're just going to be spreading out the love as much as possible.
Yeah, and there's no range on this either. Your teammate can be on the other side of the map, and they will get the buff that you get. You'll get the buff that they get. And you can stack your buffs up. I think you can get, is there 3 types of buffs on this game mode?
There's 4.
There's 4, so you could have a lot of belts if you want.
A lot of buffs.
Now, it seems like each of the buffs have a little bit of stat change. You know, unless y'all want to, we don't have to talk about every single one. But a lot of we have the green belt, the purple belt, the red belt, and the yellow belt, all getting changes.
Yeah, essentially they're just getting a couple updates to their stats. In general, they'll still do the same-esque thing that they do in Conquest and other modes. Green will be, you know, the healing and or tankiness. Purple, attack speed, generally really good for your hunters, damage dealers. Up next we've got, the red, which is again good for damage dealers, more for the ability focused ones though, rather than the basic attackers. And then finally the Norn's speed buff, which who doesn't like going fast? I like going fast.
Going fast is pivotal.
But the good thing is you don't have to choose. You can have them all at once if you want to.
That's true. I mean, we got 2 on screen right now, so you can really style on them with the 4 belts.
About to get a third? Nope, you got it stolen.
I know, man. Well, I wasn't going to get a third anyway because that was the attack speed.
That was another purple buff.
Another purple buff.
Stacking the purple.
Oh, cracking on my head.
All right, so you already mentioned this a little earlier, but The HUD. The HUD is now
Yeah.
configurable because we have the technology.
Yes, indeed. New HUD and old HUD alike can now edit
Yep.
I love auditing the HUD myself.
their elements on the HUD. So if you wanted to mix and match things around, you now can do that wherever you want.
Yep, you can move that middle health bar wherever you want. You can move that top left element wherever you want it as well, or any other pre-existing elements around too.
Yeah.
For all y'all people who like to make the map slightly opaque and over the entire screen, go nuts. So last but not least, seems like there's just a lot of general balance that kind of y'all threw in here to help refine the gameplay.
Yeah, we'll kind of run through this really quickly as
Sure.
Ro turns around and ult me here, but that's chill, you know.
I was trying to ult somebody else. You got in the way.
All right, let's talk about the victory condition. So the gold has been updated to 40,000. This kind of
Okay.
lets you get more into your super late game builds, you know, get a couple 500 pots there. Just feel like you have time to play in the late game versus it just feeling like it ends right away as soon as you get full build.
That makes sense.
Up next, the value of kills has been increased. This is kind of, again, to not disincentivize farming, but make fighting more important. Farming is still good. You still can farm and get into the game and even win from just farming, but it's a lot harder than it was before to do that.
Cool.
Up next, yeah, the value of non-objective camp kills has been reduced. On top of that, the health protections for all the camps has been adjusted as well as their scaling. So they'll just be a little bit tougher to kill come the late game, but they'll also be a little bit more rewarding. If you need to panic, get back into the game, you can still farm. That is an option for you as well. The setup time has also been increased from 30 seconds to 75 seconds, a little bit extra planning time for you if it is necessary, if you want to, you know, scope out a plan with your teammates, whatever it might be, a little bit of extra time there. And then, of course, we've just got a couple of bans to this mode for a variety of reasons, whether they're OP, break the game, etc. Afro, Baka, Kleedna, Giannis, Jingwei, Yorm, Persephone, and Morrigan are not allowed in this mode.
Fair enough. Clean and easy. Sounds good. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see this mode come back. This was a really fun one. I mean, I'm a long-time arena player, and like the whole reason is because I love just duking it out with other people. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of fighting.
Yeah, and the raw chaos of having so many separate teams just battling it
It's
out.
so
over-
fun.
Yeah,
I love
it's
this
just
mode.
Really, really great. So I'm super excited to see this come back. But that'll do it for our talking about Odin's Onslaught and its beautiful and inevitable return next patch. But we still have some balance to talk about. There's still
Yeah.
plenty more to go over.
Right.
And the next section we're going to get into is items.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of those in Smite, and the team's been cooking again. So y'all just can't leave
Can
y'all
we
alone.
say?
Every time we took our eyes off y'all, we look back and you're like, we did stuff with items. So I mean, I guess we'll just dive right into it. Starting off with just some balance and some of the usual work
Yeah.
of y'all making
A
things
necessary one, I
better.
think.
All right.
Well, Mr. Soliner, would you like to get into it?
get into
Yeah,
Equinox.
you guys can blame me if you want if Equinox was healing a little too much at certain periods. So yes, we've decreased the change you get in from hitting a minion to now you're getting just only 1.5 times that amount when you're hitting a god. 2 times was a little much. We did all see the clips of, you know, a Bellona and Osiris just hand off the keyboard, holding left click and just
Ducky
boxing
going
each
to
other.
sleep.
Yeah, Ducky going to sleep in his bed. So that shouldn't be as possible now. A lot of healing reduced from that item from when you're hitting gods. Overall, we felt it was in a decent spot in the jungle. It brought some auto attack junglers back into the meta that were previously pretty far outside of the meta because Jotuns and Hydras was dominating. So we accomplished what we wanted with this item. We're making some adjustments now that, you know, the Bellona and Osiris and to an extent Erlang and some others have kind of taken over the meta. So we're scaling it back a little bit, but you can still purchase it. It's not weak by any means necessary.
Yeah.
It's just it's a little more balanced.
Yeah, minorly toned down to not be absolutely
Balance.
crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
So you mentioned Jotuns in that talk, and it looks like the Jotuns 3-piece is kind of getting a little adjustment.
Yes, this is kind of a related but separate discussion here. It's going to be a discussion about junglers and also mid laners in kind of a way. So we've been seeing a pretty homogenous build come out of physical mid laners and junglers especially. So we're trying to just kind of switch up what this early game build is going to look like. Usually it's your Jotuns and your Hydras. Sometimes it's Jotuns Trans or the other way around. But essentially we are nerfing Jotuns and Transcendents to kind of encourage a more equal play for both other classes, whether that be mages and mid, or you know, other builds, whether that be switching up the order, switching up what you're buying in that slot. We just want to see a little bit more diversity there. So these few items are just going to get a small price increase, slow them down a little bit, not be as efficient as Insane. And then Transcendence, of course, is getting a little bit of decreased mana.
Yeah.
So that's going to also translate into its passive, which translates into power.
Yep, that's right. It means less damage, and Jotun's costing more gold means you're going to have technically less damage because you have less gold to spend on new items. So yeah, just overall a reduction in power and damage for mid-hunters especially, and then hopefully more diversity, just like we were talking about with Equinox, more diversity in the jungle builds as well, because I think, I haven't looked at the data actually now that I say this, but I think probably one of the most popular second items to build is Jotun Rast in the entire game, obviously not including support items because that's a little more set in stone, but pretty much every jungler is just buying Jotun's second item, and then with the mid-hunters buying it as well, it's time for us to adjust that item. So that's what we've done. If we see some resistance in that people still just want to buy Jotuns, then perhaps we can look at adjusting the other items to make them more of an attractive option.
And we have some of those as well, but we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. So next up, it looks like y'all might have pondered the orb a little bit. Two of them, Cursed Orb and Doom Orb.
Indeed.
Yes, this is along the same lines. We already understand that Doom Orb and Cursed Orb are like go-tos. They're very good early game staples. But here's the thing. They're not priced like early game staples at all. And that is, again, something that is kind of pushing them away from that mid lane presence, is that you want to go Doom Orb because Doom Orb is a good item. It's a great item. You just can't get it before Jotun's Wrath comes online for those physical characters.
Yeah.
So it made it very, very difficult. So we are kind of playing into that to try to, decrease that gold differential of what it was before versus, 2,300 basically to 2,700 is a lot closer than it was before.
Yeah, it's still 2,700 you could say is kind of a pricier item for that first item slot, but it has a lot of flat pen on it, so we couldn't bring it down too much, but now it makes sense that it's a little bit cheaper because of that flat pen, so you want it early and now you can afford it early too.
Yes.
Makes sense to me. So Cyclopean Ring also looks like it had some of its stats adjusted.
Yes, this is throwing it over to the magical ADCs, who have also been struggling. We see you, magical players. Definitely, we hear it. So we are just making them a little bit stronger here. A little bit of extra max health damage, a little bit of decreased cooldown on the passive. So again, it'll come online a little bit faster because you're not really requiring as much attack speed to get that passive going as quickly. So it's going to feel very nice to be able to proc a little bit harder and a little bit more often.
Yeah, I think as well, speaking about item procs, we'll see more of that later. Yeah. Maybe buy this item on some new gods as well. But definitely, I think the biggest thing here is the cooldown reduction, because remember, your auto attacks reduce that cooldown even further. So getting those 2 seconds off actually might bring it to one or two auto attacks earlier than what you would have had it before. Yeah. So it's a significant damage increase on this item.
Nice, always good to see. So Bancroft's kind of the Bancroft's 3-piece, being one of the next in line to have some stat changes, little love.
So Bancroft's is an item that you typically want to get early if you're getting lifesteal, right? Yeah. So it's just a nice, very good stat boon to have. But it is just a little bit expensive. We wanted to bring it down again to kind of keep it competitive between physical and magical, essentially, is the TLDR of that. But if we move on to Nimble Bancroft's talents, this is the spicy one, I think. We are now adding basic attack power per passive stack. So again, this is translating power into attack speed, and now additionally basic attack power as well. So the more that you get, you're getting even more basic attack power. So it's going to build on itself a little bit, which is very nice.
Yep.
Very spicy.
And because we did the cost reduction on Bancroft's as well, so it has to come off of Bancroft's Claw as well. So an even flat 3,000. So I think, maybe we'll see some more magical ADCs building Cyclopean Ring, and then with the early game Bancrofts, upgrade it later on until Nimble, and then all of a sudden your build's coming together for cheaper and more damage.
This could even be for your Anubises or your Hadeses as well that are getting a nice little bump here as well, because we've definitely been keeping an eye on lifesteal characters in general, and we want to make sure that those guys are getting some love too.
Rock and roll. All sounds good. Now we're out of the realm of beautiful magical items a little bit, and onto the real problem solver, hammers.
What really
Blackthorn,
yes. Back to the solar lane.
Oh, man.
Blackthorn hammer.
I can hear you. No, I'm joking.
Well, I can talk about this one because it kind of relates to what we're talking about with Equinox before in terms of build diversity and god diversity in the lane. We brought back auto attackers quite heavily with the Equinox introduction, nerfing that a little bit now, and then doing the small buff to Blackthorns as well. Blackthorns generally bought on things like Achilles, Tyr, more of your ability-based warriors. So, like I said, we buffed the auto attack warriors. Now we're bringing back. The idea is to bring back the ability warriors to be at that same level so they can be competitive, and you can have that diversity in the solo lane. You can pick what you want to play, and there's a viable build for everything.
Yeah.
You love to see it. So next up on the docket, we have a little bit of sigil changing. So Warding Sigil, Sigil of the Old Guard, Infused Sigil, all kind of seeing a little adjustment here.
Yeah, these are relatively unpopular starter items, you might say. And
one might would say.
They're kind of a more defensive option, right, which makes sense in Conquest. But in other modes like Arena, this item is crazy. It's very, very good.
Very fun.
And one thing that's come up quite frequently is that this item previously only had physical power, which means you could only buy it on physical characters. But, maybe you're playing a Guardian, maybe you're playing a mage like Nox or Afro or any of these characters that could build tanky, and you want to go this item as well in, again, non-conquest game modes. Again, we are kind of adjusting the stats here, taking the health off, adding power instead to give, the ability to buy it on magicals. But we understand that removing health is a pretty significant nerf, so we are adjusting it in other aspects as well. The prots are going up on the base, and then of course if we move on to the upgrades, Sigil of the Old Guard, again also losing health, gaining magical power, you're going to be increasing your protection from 40 to 45, and the heal is also going up as well, which is going to be a very nice little cherry on top for that. So not only can you buy it on more characters, but you're getting a little bonus to the things you already had.
That's right.
And then one more, Infused Sigil, also getting a bump in prots and adding magical power.
I mean, what's not to love?
I'm ready to ruin the queues with that item. Infused Sigil is one of my favorite items in the game to just run at as a full tank. I'm ready to ruin every queue.
Let me run into the back line really quick with Infused Sigil Guardians now. I love that.
Yeah, just gonna make a mess. Just gonna cause problems.
Oh yeah.
So we talked about a lot of cool item stuff, and I said earlier they were cooking. They weren't just cooking on what they already had. We got some new stuff to talk about. Something you might have even teased a little on Twitter, maybe. So let's dive into the first of 2 new items in Smite called Curse Weaver.
Curse Weaver. All right, so this item is building off of Sorcerer's Staff, which is in the Warlock's tree. So Sorcerer's Staff is the tier 2. This item is going to be 2,500 gold. It's going to have 60 magical power, 250 health, and 250 mana. But we all know that's not where you're here for. Stat schmats, am I right? Let's move on to the passive. This passive is reminiscent of, some anti-mage, anti-caster identities of long past. And so I'll just read it off for you and then we'll break it down. Hitting an enemy god with a basic attack or ability marks them for 4 seconds. When the marked enemy god casts an ability, they take 5% of your maximum health plus 5% of your maximum mana as magical damage. You heal for 100% of the damage dealt.
Ooh.
You may only apply a mark once every 12 seconds. Each time an enemy casts an ability within 55 units of you, reduce the cooldown of this item by 1 second. So, that's a lot of words. What does it actually do? Hit someone with anything as a magical character with this item, they get cursed. When they pop an ability, if they do it when you had the debuff on them, which is 4 seconds, so it's not really that long.
Yeah.
You can kind of play around it if you really want to. They will take some damage based on your stats, your tanky stats, or your damaging stats if you're like a Kulkin building all the books. Additionally, on top of that, you heal, and then beyond that, if you're in the middle of a team fight, you're really getting the heck in there, it'll come off cooldown sooner.
Yeah, and you can throw it on. I know we have a little video. I think we have what was put out on Twitter maybe to showcase that again. So you can see the curse lingering there.
The curse. Ooh.
So you see that purple debuff, and you can see with the ghost coming out. That's the debuff there. It lasts for 4 seconds, and then when the enemy casts a spell, it will damage them and heal you as well. You see the little heal FX pop up on Anubis there, and that's how you know you've been healed. And it's a significant amount of healing as well, depending on your build. It depends on your max health and your max mana, so you can kind of get creative with this build to synergize with this item. So it's just another thing to think about, and especially if you're even in lane. You mentioned team fights with a lot of gods popping abilities, but if I'm buying in the solo lane, maybe as a Xingqian Guardian with Sigil, now that we've changed that to be on a magical god, and you're against a King Arthur that has a lot of abilities, this item would come off cooldown pretty often and actually add a lot of damage and healing to your kit.
Yeah, super cool. And again, it's just one of those that adds a lot of skill expression, because you have this whole new mechanic you get to play around based off of an item. Then you entangle that with the gods. You're like, oh, the enemy has, like you said, there's a King Arthur, there's a lot of abilities going off. Just a lot of cool ways to play with this. So excited to see it, but also excited to see this next item, which is also a brand new item in Smite.
Oh, boy.
You can tell by that reaction. So this new item is called Duality.
Duality. This is a new item in the Balanced Blade tree, so this comes off of Light Blade, and it's next to Chinsai, Executioner, and Asi are the items that it builds into. It's going to be 2,700 gold.
For
so
a reason.
luxury item. We'll get into why in a moment here. 40 physical power and 15% attack speed. So, decent power stats. Kind of, mid to okay attack speed, but again, very expensive. Now there you go. Learn me. Why is it so expensive? Well, I'll tell you, chat. It's because once every 5 seconds, your next basic attack deals half of its damage, and instead half of that damage is converted into physical ability damage. This bonus damage can proc ability item effects.
It means you're getting Bluestone from your auto attack, you're getting Crusher from your auto attack, Heartseeker from your auto attack. There's a lot of ability item effects that can just proc off of your basic attacks now that were previously only proccing off of abilities.
Yep.
That is
exactly
spicy a little bit.
A new way to build.
Builds can get really crazy with
Yeah.
that. Previously, it was kind of trolled to go, Crusher, Heartseeker on characters like Rom. Well, duality?
You kind of
Not
can.
anymore.
You kind of can,
we're
I guess.
bringing
It's
it
probably
in.
still a little troll, but
You'll have to test it out. But I know, J-Mac, are we good to hop in,
Yeah,
and kinda
we're good to
get an
go.
idea of what that'll look like? Let's check it out then.
yeah, by all means, just go ahead, take it away, just kind of go crazy with it. Yep, and you'll see here that it's only once every 5 seconds, so you're getting 100% of that damage, 100% of the healing, etc. You're also getting things that don't deal damage, like Brawlers is another item that you can apply with your basic attack now. So essentially, there's just so many options of things that you can do. Like, what is it? I'm trying to think of like all of the various things that we can do with it that we've tested. We tested so many.
Yeah, it's this one's been in development for a little longer. In fact, I'll leak a little something here. This was so OP at one point that we decided not to ship it in a patch. It could have come out last patch, but we needed to change it heavily because it was so OP. This is a delicate item that's really, really fun. When we showed this off the first time to our ambassadors internally, they were like, oh, this is really fun. This is really exciting.
They kind of had a like field day going off and like brainstorming builds and things
Exactly,
that
yeah.
we could do, but we understand completely that this is a very scary thing to be messing with, and we don't want to change these things lightly.
Yeah.
So again, it had to go through a bunch of iterations to get to this point, but we were super excited with how it turned out. And honestly, the flexibility that it brings is just so exciting. I can't wait to see what kind of builds that you guys cook up
Yeah.
and what kind of flexibilities
I
that
can give a little example
work
as
with.
well. Like
Please do.
one thing I'm excited about is maybe Cupid. Cupid's in a weird spot where he's clear his ability damage because he needs his heart bomb. So you kind of want Heartseeker for his clear, but then he only has 2 damaging abilities, his 1 and his ultimate, to be able to proc Heartseeker. Now, if his auto attacks every 5 seconds can also proc Heartseeker and Crusher and Bluestone, then it makes those builds a lot more viable on him. On the other side of the things, if you get really creative, you could talk about, maybe Vamana wants to buy Bluestone for his early wave clear, and he transitioned into Corrupted Bluestone later on. But, it's difficult to get your Corrupted Bluestone stacks when you're in your ultimate, and especially maintain them while you're in your ultimate. Now, when Vamana's in his ultimate, he can build up that Corrupted Bluestone with his auto attacks because of duality. So it just adds these new flavor builds to these characters that just kind of had one build path before, or really awkward build paths before as well. So again, we're just adding another layer to think about the game and just be more creative in your gameplay.
Yes, and again, you're not just gaining for this, right? Not only is it every so often it's on a timer, but you are trading off a good portion of your basic attack damage that you're getting to trade off for additional procs. So it's not always a net positive, but when you do have a lot of those proc items, when you've got the full build online, it feels really nice. But this is definitely a game that you should be careful about going in the early game because, again, you are trading off that damage for damage somewhere
That's
else.
right. And it's not cheap either. We did angle it towards the mid-late to late game for sure. We did 2,700 gold item cost because we want to make sure people understand they want to get these proc items online first before they get the duality.
Yep.
It definitely makes sense. This doesn't seem like a first item for sure because of its passive, but I gotta throw a lot of respect on an item like this because some items you release and they become a part of a build and they're really cool and they're really fun to use. But how rare is it to see an item come out that redefines build paths?
That's why it's so exciting.
Yeah.
So really, really cool. Excited to see. Obviously, tons of internal tests done as always, but we can only
all the
cover.
time.
We can only cover so much ground. It's
Right, yeah.
it's crazy how the moment we release this out into the wild and y'all get your hands on it, all the crazy stuff that shows up that we would have never even thought of. So really, really excited with something
And scared, but yeah.
always a little
bit.
scared.
It's always exciting to see an item like this, or really just even a concept that kind of like breaks the rules a little bit. You know what I mean? Where it's like, this has never been a thing before. Well, let's see what it looks like.
trying
It's
new
time to
ground.
get a little experimenting and just
Now's the
seeing
time,
what kind of fun builds you guys can come up with. Because again, the build path changing is what I'm really excited about. Being able to build items that have previously not worked on certain characters for XYZ reason, get duality, and now they work.
Well, just so excited for all of that. Excited to see it. And that is the item balance. So 2 beautiful new items to look out for with a variety of crazy after effects we will never be able to imagine until y'all figure it out and are like, well, this is crazy. So we are horrified and looking forward to it. So let's dive out of Balance Land for a minute here and hop back into the land of cool cosmetics. Y'all know how this works. Again, y'all been here now. We're on the 5th update. We're cruising through. This year's flying by. So many cool things happening. And one of the things that happens every update is a new cross-gen pass. We'll get one of these every update, and these contain a variety of cosmetics, not the least of which are cool cross-gen skins. That's right, cross-gen, the cool word of this year. This goes from Smite 1 to Smite 2. So let's just get into it. Y'all know what these are. It's the new take on the Battle Pass. It's cross-gen content, and it's just exciting to say. It feels like it's heavier now that Smite 2 has kind of hit the masses. You know, like people have been able to play it and feel it, saying like, oh no, like we're giving you stuff for that game that you played now. It just, I don't know, it feels like it carries a different weight. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's talk about some skins, all right? Starting off with Steel Sentry Athena.
This skin's so sick. She's got this like kind of robotic but also slightly human like super soldier vibe, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah.
And of course, you'll notice there she's got a couple of friends in the background,
little
hanging
robots.
out, little drones, you might even say. Yeah, this Athena skin is sick. The theming and the coloring, very, very cool and very pretty. Love the purples.
Yeah, it's really fun that we get to put this battle pass in the game, and then you get to buy it and then earn the rest of the items, and then you get them in Smite 2. So with the next Smite 2 test coming up, you can play it again. So it's really cool.
Yeah,
Another
Athena's
reason.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so you
true.
can the next test, if you earn this skin, buy this battle pass, you'll be able to play it in Smite 2.
So, and again, super cool to see.
Yeah, she's got some
Oh,
friends.
yep. It's little buddies. Oh, that's
Little
cool. I like the
buddies.
wings, too.
Yeah, they follow her around. They do different things during her various animations. They're just cool little friends to hang out with you while you're taunting people in.
Yeah, while you're diving across the map to save the solo laner.
Yeah, it
from
kind of
his
makes
fate.
sense how she can like jump across the map now.
Yeah.
She's got like the rocket
Yeah,
propulsion
Yeah, like
from
the
the
rocket
guys.
pack. There we go. Because
Notice
before
that
it was just
weapon
really good
either.
calf muscle.
Yeah.
Could be Guan Yu's weapon, actually.
Yeah, and the shield. So let's go ahead and take a peek at this one in the game.
Yeah. Yup. That's a cool
Look
skin.
at her.
Dude, I just love how her silhouette changes so much
Oh, that's a
with
good
the
little shout
addition
there.
of the extra buddies. And yeah, the shield,
Very cool.
very cool. Metal Gorgon,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
that is really cool.
And that's
Oh.
a really nice little touch having the Gorgon head.
Yeah, it's very lore
Very,
accurate.
yeah, thematic for Athena.
I just got back from Greece actually and was like seeing statues and reading about this.
Oh, that's so cool.
Studying the Greek pantheon so I could come back and be even better as a guy who knows stuff about Smite. So
Oh,
Yeah.
bad luck.
You can't run from your face.
We'll be shading you.
they can't run. from
My
their fate.
soldiers
Oh, actually,
bring
special
us the
shout while
best
you guys are listening here to this voice pack. This is Gore Miser's first ever voice pack that he has
Really?
written in game. So shout out to Gore.
Miser?
Excellent job here with this very, what's the word, serious but also powerful
Yeah.
Athena. I'm loving it.
I fought rookies that hit harder than you.
I love that. I love that ult. Like I love the big laser beam kind of like
Yeah.
in the landing.
I love also just the effects on reach and on the shield as well with the damage mitigation stacks. It's just always so nice.
Yeah, the glow on the weapon as well while you have the reach stack ready to throw. It looks really cool. Actually, like when you did the little laugh there and the little friends kind of did a little bubble like they
Oh,
were
yeah,
doing,
they do.
giggling
They
as well.
stand out.
Yeah.
You fight like a
The constant
malfunctioning
attention to
drone.
detail. Absolutely
Predictable
love it.
and
like I said,
easily
it's a cross-gen
dismantled.
pass. You're gonna want to look at this in Smite 2. So let's check.
Oh, yes, please. Let's take a look. Yeah.
Oh, dude,
Oh,
Lord.
the way the metal looks, like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
the sheen of light across the metal surface.
Yeah, it's the reflections that really helps as well
it
because
really does.
that purple spreads out among the rest of the skin.
I love
as well.
these poses too. Can we just talk about that for a second? Like shouts to the art team for getting them in some really cool, unique, and dynamic poses. It just really sells the attitude of the character in such a simple thing, right? Any character could be posed like that, but that looks like Athena.
Yeah, very
Agreed.
aggressive pose on this one.
And it could have all been, like these were renders, like
Yeah.
I'd be happy seeing A poses, honestly. So like the fact that they're like, no, that's not cool enough. We want this to be.
Yeah, let's up that cool factor.
Yeah, so just a shout out. Again, it's always the attention to detail. So one more skin to talk about in the Galactic Frontier cross-gen pass, and that's Iron Fang on her.
On her, another god we already have in Smite
Oh.
2, so be able to play this skin immediately as well. Wow, Panther right there, I think.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
I love that weapon. Can we talk about that?
It looks.
Glowy?
It has like a hook. I don't like it.
Yeah, when he impales you with that, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's going in but not coming back.
You're locked. Yeah, you're locked in.
Mhm.
So
Owie.
I like these perspectives too. Just I don't know. I like the little tail in the background. It's like, yeah, this is horrifying and I'm about to die, but look at his little tail.
He's still a kitty cat at heart.
He's still a kitty cat at
Yeah.
heart. Exactly. That's all that matters. So even if he's about to rip your throat out. I don't
Very
know.
scary.
Little skulls on the
Guy.
gauntlets too.
Yeah.
Yeah, with glowing eyes.
Yeah, I like all the orange bits. Yeah, even
Oh,
even better
in the game it looks
actually.
good.
Yeah, glowing eyes and the glow on the weapon and the shoulders.
A
Really
little
cool.
scar. That guy's been in a lot of battles.
He
does look
scars
nice.
on his armor itself. Unless that's torso.
Nah,
Dang, that is a cool skin.
that is. I always love like the necklaces too. It looks like a trophy necklace. Like these are teeth from my last 8. So always super cool to see. And again, part of the Galactic Frontier cross-gen pass. So I mean, you know, when you use the word cross-gen, it makes you think Smite 2.
Smite 2?
So ooh, I heard we could go in game for this one. Let's
Yeah.
check that out. Let's do that.
Oh, yeah. Let's take a look.
Why not?
Yeah.
Hey.
There he is,
That weapon's
and that sick weapon,
Yeah, the weapon is really sick.
dude. I can't wait to see what those basics look like.
Not that I want to be stabbed by any.
Oh, the trail.
Like on
Dude.
fire.
as well. Yeah.
That's
on
so
the-
cool. All right, pillar time.
Oh,
Oh,
it's got like the chain.
Sand is really
it's like
cool.
galactic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like almost like
Man.
Ragnarok.
Very.
Yeah.
Like an obsidian type thing.
Yeah. Dude,
Bye.
Goodbye, Odin.
dude, these like trail effects and the extra like oomph. Yeah,
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
I love this color combo. And the crack on the ground even. I mean, come on. That's so cool.
Yeah, they're like purple to red.
Don't die constantly.
I mean, that's what he wants them to do.
Yeah.
Just being clear about his
Pretty straightforward,
intentions.
yeah.
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 Straighten
Yeah,
him out a little
respect
bit.
it.
It's honest, if anything.
There
Maybe
you
too
go.
Power.
honest.
Nah, it pays to be honest when you're a space assassin.
Mhm.
All right, let's check out the Smite 2 render.
Yes.
I'm just too excited for it.
I want to see. Whoa.
Like glow, yeah.
Dude, the upgrade on the fur, especially. I
Yeah.
know we talked about it with Wukong, but this like is you could super tell.
See, I'm just constantly a fan of the metals, like
Yeah,
all
the
of the different.
intricacies of the armor, you can see it in there.
Yeah, because of the lighting, all of the little folds and the plates on the legs, they just all stand out so much more clear.
And speaking of the lighting, I don't think we've talked about the spear in the room yet. Hello,
Yeah.
that thing is bright.
It is bright.
That's one thing I'm really. I mean, again, he's already in Smite 2, so we'll be able to play it in Smite 2 very
I'm
soon.
so excited.
Seeing the glow of that weapon, the glow from his eyes through a corridor in the jungle as well is gonna be really cool. And
He's really
his new
beaten up in the
animation-
jungle.
Yeah.
That's some real walking out of the stealth bush with his eyes glowing. You're like, no,
Oh
no,
my
no,
god, the stealth push.
Wait. No. Oh man. All right, so cool. Again, that is the Galactic Frontier cross-gen pass. Make sure you check it out on Tuesday. You already know how it is. So I guess it's God balance time, huh?
Yeah.
Time to talk about
I'm ready.
some balancey stuff, some God balancey stuff. So again, they've been cooking. Items weren't the only thing on the menu. They have a whole second menu covered with delicious God changes, and we're gonna get right into it now with some of the more standard balance, starting with Bologna.
Yeah, let's talk about nerfs. We got a couple nerfs.
Wow.
Let's do some nerfs.
Guess I can take it away again. This is the same
Oh,
line.
nerf,
as,
take it away. I get it.
Same line as the good one. Same line as the Equinox. Yeah, very, very strong God with Equinox. By far the strongest. Even when you look at the most simple data we have, even if it's publicly available, this simple data, her win rate was kind of through the roof when we added this item.
Doing
I
a
think
little good.
she was pretty good in previous metas, even back at the World Championship. She was a top pick for sure. So adding an item made her probably over the top, but as well, we're bringing her down, especially her passive, a little less protection, so a little less tanky in the early game especially, and then she was very, very quick. She still will be quicker than other gods because of that passive, but not 3% per stack, now
Yeah.
2.5%.
On top of that, though, we got Shield Bash coming up in cooldown to make sure you get a little less frequently having those. And then Scourge, just her poke in general, doing a little bit less damage, a little bit less extra clear as well. So slowing her down on kind of all accounts.
That's
Just
right,
reeling
yeah.
it back in a little bit.
And we have the Equinox nerf on top of it as well, so
Yeah.
pretty significant nerfs for Bologna overall, but that just creates more room for other gods.
That's true. Open the door for other opportunity.
Mhm.
So next on the list, we have Neath.
This is kind of crazy.
It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
This is Neith's first ever nerf.
Ever.
Ever.
Like ever?
Like ever.
Literally ever.
Like 11 years of Smite ever?
Yeah, she's never had a nerf. This is her first nerf.
Well, welcome to history, everybody.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
here in the chat.
Wow.
So, Neith does indeed build the Jotuns, Transcendence,
Transcendence, yep.
etc. build. And she has just been kind of the dominant mid laner for a hot minute here. So we are taking Backflip, her main escape, up in cooldown, just a smidge, a little bit less safe. And then really the big sticking point for this Neith nerf is going to be the nerf to World Weaver, which, you know, if she's going to be able to shoot anyone in the world, you know, maybe she should be a bit closer to that
That's
global
Yeah.
cooldown timer with the ultimate. And then, of course, it's just doing quite a lot of damage, so bringing that down as well by 10%. This will be pretty significant, especially towards the late game. You will be feeling this, Neith players, and I'm sorry that she's getting nerfed for the first time ever but it's got to happen.
Bound to happen eventually, yeah. And this is on top of the Transcendence nerf and Jotun's nerf as well, so pretty significant nerfs for a very top performer in the mid lane, or just a top performer as an ability hunter in general.
If I would have known we were here for that part of history, I'd have worn a suit or something. All right, well.
Now she gets duality, so can you really complain? You know?
That's true. There's a lot of good change too. So Hachi's up next. What's going on with Hachi?
Yes, Hachi has just been kind of a staple of the duo lane, and I feel like we've said this before. I feel like I've got a little deja vu right now, but he just doesn't seem to want to go. Nope. He's just chilling. You know, he's got a lot of benefits for him, right? Because he is just a very safe hunter, doesn't run out of mana. He's just kind of
everything you want.
A staple. You know, he does everything pretty good. Master of Arms, though, we're going to be taking down that duration. That's his passive from 8 seconds to 6 seconds, so a little bit less time for your attack speed and mana. Eagle Eye is also getting decreased damage scaling, and the cooldown's going up. And then on top of that, Heavenly Banner, just a little bit less damage, a little bit less consistent clear and poke, but just kind of hitting every element of Hachi that kind of is you know, what makes him be a little bit stronger than everybody else.
Yeah, like I said, right now he gives you everything you kind of want, so we just bring everything down by one notch, so he's a little bit more balanced. That's the intention.
That makes
Across
sense.
the board.
Nice and easy. I can get behind that. So next up, seen him in game once. Guan Yu getting a little shake.
We're on the buffs now.
We're on the buffs now?
Guan Yu, kind of the antithesis of a basic attack warrior.
Yeah,
just not at all. So we figured that it would be a good time for him to make another reappearance, and so we're just doing a couple of nice buffs across the board here. So a little bit of extra physical protections going into the lane for his abilities to come online. He has to take or deal damage, right? So he's got to be in the midst of the fight, which means, you know, he is going to be just eating some damage. So we're just going to make that damage hurt a little bit less. On top of that, mana cost a little bit high considering, you know, how much he's spamming him. So Warrior's Will is getting a decreased mana cost from 60 to 80 to just 50 at all ranks. That's going to feel real nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's going to be nice. Talu Assault also kind of getting a similar vibe, except it's just 5 at all ranks. And then Cavalry Charge just getting a couple increased damage bops on it, 10 at all ranks. Gonna feel very nice to run people down with the horse.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm most excited about from this change as well is the mana reductions, because previously his mana costs were at a point, then he used his ability so often that his mana cost in general was at a point that he needed to buy these mana-based items like Breastplate or maybe even Transcendence. He almost had a requirement to buy Black Thorns, which we are buffing this patch, but now maybe he can get away with just buying a Glad Shield and not having to have a mana item, but just the mana buff. So maybe increasing some build diversity there, but also just alleviating the pressure. He is generally a lower pressure god. If you lose your first blue buff, it's not the end of the world. Your abilities cost less mana now. And if you do manage to get on top of somebody with that horse, it's actually one of the highest damaging abilities in the game. If you can just hit every hit.
Like, that's the other part. You got to hit every hit.
Yeah, if you have to hit every hit now, it's really going to hurt them. So hopefully we see a bit more play of him in the soul lane.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
I think it's important to reiterate with it is it looks like, you know, 10 damage and 185 isn't that much. That's every single swing, and that keeps amplifying up as you keep hitting more and more of it. So that's, you know, 50, 60 plus damage that's going to be going up throughout the course of the swing.
It will definitely be adding up.
It's going to hurt.
Even if you're not hitting the same person, you hit into a team fight, you're driving around whacking everybody, you're just distributing all of that damage throughout a whole
it's a big
team.
AoE
So,
as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. So cool. So next up, we have the Scary Scorpion Circuit changes.
Yes, this is going to be a set of exciting changes. I'm sure we have a lot of individuals that are going to love this change. But Circuit is a character that we thought was going to be really good in the crit meta at the beginning of the year. Wasn't actually that good in the crit meta. Has fallen off a cliff since then. She is just missing in action at this point.
Completely.
Huh.
So we've got a couple nice buffs here for her, including some base health and health per level. Just the fact that she has to get the heck in there to do basically all of her abilities, on top of the fact that she really is mostly single target. Puts her at quite a bit of a disadvantage compared to other characters, and she just had a quite low health pool considering that exception. So that's the first part. This next part, exciting stuff. Ambush. It's back.
It's back.
It's so back. 65 range returns to Ambush. Welcome back, Circuit. You're going to be able to get over more walls now, which is going to feel really nice. On top of that, though, Last Breath is going from 120% damage scaling to 130%. This was kind of, you know, even though it's true damage, it was not really doing all that much damage. It was more so used for the debuff and the movement, the force movement on enemies more so than the actual damage itself, and the poison, of course, to work with your passive. But this doing a little bit of extra damage on its own, especially scaling off of damage, it's going to feel really nice for Circuit players.
That's right. And what we saw as well is like sometimes people were buying 1 or 2 tank items on Circuit, so you have less power anyway. So now you get more out of the power that you do have, and perhaps with the slightly increased health pool, you'll have to buy maybe 1 less defensive item than what you were before.
Yeah, focus on being an offensive, scary Scorpion.
Buy some crit maybe. Yeah.
All right, cool. So Terra up next. Love Terra. What's happening with Terra?
So Terra's an interesting case because we did just do an update to her.
Which I thought was going to go
Was pretty cool.
I thought that was going to be crazy.
That was a big change.
It turned out to not really change her all that much, if at all. So in general, she has just not done very well at all. So we've got a lot of really fun changes here for her. First being Crushing Earth. Mana cost is going down by just 10 at all ranks. It's going to be a nice little early game boon for her to be able to spam those stuns a little bit more frequently. You know, if you miss it, not a big deal. Not that much mana wasted anymore. Monolith. Also getting an increase to the heal, which is going to be nice as well for the assault gamers. Yeah, it's getting a very nice increase here, basically doubling at all ranks. So that's going to feel very nice for your sustain both in lane, and you know, if you want to use it for sustain in between fights as well, you know, that's another option. But I think the craziest change here is this very final one. Earth and Fury decreased cooldown from 90 at all ranks, scaling from 90 to 70 seconds.
That's 20 seconds.
Late game monster,
Terra's
ladies
back.
and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's
Terra is back.
ooh, 20 seconds is a long time for an ult, especially.
Yes.
Yeah, I think one thing I want to really encourage Terra players to do more is just to press that ultimate more, because it's actually
just get
really
out
good
there.
offensively as well, and your teammates will react to when you press your ultimate. A lot of Terra players, when they're newer to Terra at least, they use it as a reactionary tool, like, oh, I'm getting dove on, or my teammate's getting dove on, I'm going to ult for them. I think if you ult earlier in a team fight, you'll actually find you get a lot more uses out of this ultimate, so be more brave with that ultimate. It's on a lower cooldown now in the later game, so you can press more, and even if it's wasted sometimes, that's okay. It's coming up again sooner, so just in general, use it more and find more creative ways to use it.
He was a pro league coach. You can trust what he says.
That's true.
Not all that successful, but sure.
Nah, it counts. You're balancing now. You know the ins and outs.
A little more data than before.
Exactly. So now we're getting to one of my favorite mages. Anyway, personally, got some Merlin changes we get to talk about.
Now, this is going to look strange, and I understand it completely.
Good, strong. This is
Merlin
weird.
is a character that many people perceive to be just fine. Just, you know, he does everything you need him to do. He's very standard. Never really a bad character. Never really, you know, a broken character. Sometimes he's just good. But here's the thing. Merlin's a hard character. And so that makes his win rate naturally pretty low. But here's the thing. His win rate is much lower than normal. What it should be. Like, exceedingly so. Like, he's probably one of the least winningest gods in the game, period, right now.
Okay.
So we understand that he can be a little scary at times. So what we're doing here is we're doing a couple smaller changes. So first up is Overload, going to be getting more damage. This is passive. So this is for those players that are weaving the basics in between abilities, a little bit of extra buff damage as well if you want a little bit of extra poke, if you're able to weave those autos in. But yes, just a little bit more damage on that. That's going to feel nice. Moving on to Radiate. This is the one in Fire stance. More cooldown for you, so you're going to be able to use that more often. 16 seconds is kind of crazy to be, you know, if you ever switch to this in the early ranks before you're able to, you know, get the cooldown lower on your switch stance. It feels really bad to be waiting on two abilities that are 16 and 18 seconds. Not a good feeling. So we're not making it any lower at the high end when you're actually feeling good. You got Merlin online. We're just making it lower at the early game stages. So you're not stuck for so long with abilities
and
that you want to switch from.
Just the Fire stance as well.
Yes, just Fire stance.
Just for fire.
And that's it. That's Merlin. We're good.
We're good. We did it. All right, another M-related god, Medusa, up next. Also seeing a little bit.
Yes, this is an exciting one. A little bit flavorful too, in a way.
Yeah.
We were looking at Medusa stats, and she is on the lower end of things. You know, she's not awful, horrible, you know, horrendous, but she hasn't really seen a whole lot of play. She's not very popular outside of, you know, specific crowds. So we're like, what's going on? So the first thing that we're doing is we're actually giving her a buff to her general movement speed, and this we feel like is really cool just thematically.
Yeah.
Because her passive Sidewinder also interacts with this, so it's going to let her be a bit more evasive, a bit more aggressive if you want to be, or even just a bit more defensive, because we know she does struggle there when Lacerate gets caught on things. She kind of can get stuck. It's not going to, you know, change the world for her, but it's going to be nice. It'll feel nice. And then beyond that, of course, Acid Spray is her, you know, standard clearing ability, poking ability. It just isn't keeping up, though, compared to a lot of other characters, so we're taking the cooldown down and giving it just a bit more damage.
That's correct, yeah. I think when we were looking at this god as well, we had to keep in mind that duality was coming in this patch as well, so we didn't want to just buff this god like crazy and then add
use
duality as
very well.
so now if you buy duality on Medusa with these small buffs, you'll actually feel like a much more enhanced god.
Nice.
Yeah.
and good forethought. Crazy how many different things to think of when you're balancing. You're like, well, we're releasing this item. So
A
we
lot
have
of
to
things
balance
come
around
together.
that. Yeah, it seems like a symphony of ideas. But so we're moving back into the Guardian terrain, one of my favorite places to talk. And Maui is getting some changes.
Yeah, the boy Maui.
The boy.
He just got some buffs, but it didn't change anything for him, unfortunately. So we're doing a lot stronger buffs here, and a lot of these are very, very exciting. So first up, we've got the passive Maniakalani, and so this is going to be, essentially the aura around you that is checking for when enemies are getting CC'd. It's now a bigger radius, so if you're a little bit too far away to get it right off the bat, you can now get it a little bit easier. It gives you more of that range to actually get in there and pick up that passive more frequently.
Nice.
Finally, I guess, comma, Master Fisherman no longer has a slow. It feels so good now, you guys. It feels really, really good.
At full speed, you can get
Oh,
the
Full
that's so
speed
cool.
yoink. You're actually not pulling people that much faster because of that. And on top of that, we're also increasing the vortex strength by about 15%. It's kind of hard to measure. Those numbers aren't really like public facing, so it's hard to say, hey guys, the vortex changed by this number, and everyone goes, I don't know what that means. So just trust me, 15%, a little bit, it's going to feel nice. A little bit stronger pulls, a little bit more control for Maui where that pull is going as well.
Exactly what I was about to say. In general, both of these changes combined for Master Fisherman, it feels like you have much more control over your opponent, and you can actually put them where you want them to be at whenever you want them to be there.
And not put yourself in so much risk either.
Exactly, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we got more though. We're not done.
Yeah, now we got more.
Mystical Ulua. This is the 2. So the cooldown for this ability is going down, and believe me, this is an exciting thing for this ability because even now at max cooldown, you're going to be able to kind of refresh that buff super easily. So it's really just going to be the early game where you're going to have a little bit more access to it, a little bit more time to use those tools, that movement speed, etc. Just more chances to do cool things with this ability. Yep. And finally,
It's back.
It's back.
Uh-oh.
Landfall at 90 seconds.
Whew.
Get yoinkin'.
Get yoinkin'. Yeah, what else is there to be said? It's
right. Yeah,
one of my favorite ults in the game. Yeah, just absolutely incredible to use and see. Get yoinkin'. You heard it.
I changed the name of the ability, actually. We can
Just
call it
yoink?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just change the whole description.
Yoink.
Yeah. Yoinks.
Is it just yoink?
You have a status effect when you get hit, got yoinked. So it's this whole thing. We're working on it. So Ymir is here up next.
Speaking of him being here, he's here in SMITE 2 as well.
Whoa.
And one
he is.
change that came to SMITE 2 that we definitely wanted to consider for SMITE 1. We did the camera unlock previously, but now Ymir is able to rotate when using Glacial Strike. He's not able to move like in SMITE 2. We had a couple extra restrictions, just due to the way that our framework is working right now on SMITE 1. But essentially, Ymir can now rotate while in the pre-fire of Glacial Strike, so you can start the ability and then turn and re-aim and follow and track where your enemies are going to, and yeah, it just feels way more fluid.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's just one of those changes. Just nice and easy. Like, feels good. Love that. So moving forward, Hera, Royal Assault.
Speaking of feels good, Hera, a character that has been kind of missing unless your name's Dardes, which mine isn't. So I don't know about you guys.
That's true.
But this character has had kind of a quirk about her where Royal Assault has the Argus hands kind of come together. And when they come together, there's this nice little area where you deal bonus damage as Hera. But here's the thing. You're never really going to be able to hit that on purpose because it's so small. So small. It's basically 6 units across, and the average god is like
12.
way smaller than that, like five across, essentially. So yeah, essentially you are hitting the god perfectly or you're not hitting them at all, which is not ideal for Hera. So we're basically increasing that area by 50%, so it's going from about 6 to about 12 units across. So the targeter is also updated as well, so you're going to be able to see that in game to know exactly where that area is going to be. But yeah, essentially it's going to make it a lot easier for Hera to intentionally get this double hit damage. We're not actually buffering that damage, so the damage is still going to be exactly the same, just easier to hit.
Maybe even multiple targets.
Ooh. You're getting spicy over here.
Yeah.
All right, so last but not least, in this particular category of changes, Osiris.
Yes, Osiris. We understand that he is
We
a
understand.
top performer.
We get it.
However, we didn't want to hold back a cool change just because he's a top performer.
That's right.
So Spirit Flail is an ability that you could not cast into a wall. So if the ability was over 50% of the way into the wall, it would not allow you to cast it. This is kind of inconvenient around a couple of spots if you're trying to aim over a wall or something next to a wall. Like talk about Fire Giant is another thing that makes it a little bit difficult to use this ability around. Essentially, you can just fire it inside of walls now. Yes, that does mean that, certain players could go fire it off into Timbuktu, and honestly, that's a risk that we are willing to accept because it just feels so much nicer to not have to worry about, is my ability halfway in the wall? My ability, didn't go off. It just does not feel very clunky anymore, and it feels great.
That's right.
Another one of those, y'all have been cranking out those classic changes that feel good. So love to see it. But we're nowhere near done with changes. We have a good few more to talk about here. But now we're shifting categories a little bit.
Turn it up a notch, I suppose.
Yeah, we were in kind of the general balance zone.
Yeah, that said regular.
That said regular.
Turn it up.
This one says major. So let's talk major god balance, and we'll start with Olaran.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of preamble why we're talking about Olaran.
Please preamble.
We generally looked across the board and saw which characters are unpopular and which characters are bad. Who's not winning and who does nobody want to play. And unfortunately, Olaran ended up in that category as one of the kind of premier hunter picks that just were not hitting the mark for one reason or another, right? We kind of wanted to address them case by case as to who was coming up, and Olaran came up, again, for a variety of reasons, which we'll get into. But first up, we're doing a lot of changes to Touch of Fate, which is his passive. Okay. So the first exciting thing that you're going to see is that the cap of critical strike is going from 70% to 100%.
Ooh.
I can now guarantee crits as Olaran. That's pretty sick.
That's pretty nutty.
And we're also increasing the damage from critical strikes for Olaran from 30% to 40%. As many of you eagle-eyed viewers know, Olaran does less crit damage than a standard physical crit. Now he's doing a little bit closer to that, but still will do less.
Still slightly less, yeah.
Yes, to kind of compensate for this, the power requirement for him to get critical strike is also going up just a little bit. It's only increasing the total power that you need by a small amount. Again, you still get 20% off the bat once you get 100 power, but you're going to need a bit more power to build into that to get to the full crit. So again, we're not intending everybody on Olaran to always get 100% crit. You can build into 100% crit now if you want to. It's not free 100%. You got to make the choice to build into it.
That's right. I think to wrap up the changes to his passive in general, now that you have basically two build paths, right? You can go all the rings, which is generally lower power. You can attack fast, and you still probably get around 70 or just above 70% crit, plus the increased crit you're getting from each one of those auto attacks. But if you wanted to build into a higher power build and guarantee those crits and see those bigger numbers, then you can have that option as well. So it just opens up those opportunities for you.
Yeah. Up next, we've got Focus Light, which is his 1. And this is going to essentially have a new feature, which now gains increased damage dealt the longer you charge it up to a maximum of 20% increased damage when you fully charge it. So this ability, you previously would charge it to increase the range and the width, which felt nice. But one of the intuitive things I think a lot of people missed is that it does the same amount of damage. No longer. You do more damage now. So the longer you charge it, the more that you spend, the more payoff you get, other than just the range and the width.
This is a fun one, because if you really hit those fully charged long range ones that are just all the way down the lane, now you get that bigger payoff and you can see that bigger crit. So I think it's a really good feels change. Will help you clear on the archers especially a little bit, because you can charge it up longer if you're standing back from your wave and just the end of your one is hitting those archers. They should die, depending on your build of course, but they should die more often than they were before.
Yeah. Exactly. And finally, just a small buff on top of it, Consecration, this is his 3, is getting a decreased cooldown from 14 seconds to 12 seconds. Just a little bit more peel ability for Olaran here, survivability, more healing. It's going to feel nice.
Yep.
Nice. Overall, a lot of changes, a lot of cool stuff to see there.
He feels really good to play now. In a somewhat recent playtest, I ran him in the ADC lane. One of the problems with him is, you feel like you have to expend your 1 sometimes to clear, so people might get, I'm going to max my second ability instead. I, for the sake of the test, just started maxing out my first ability, and you're able to full clear if you get a full charge pretty early in. I'm not going to say it's immediate, but usually by rank 4, rank 5, get a little bit of charge up, you're going to start full clearing the archers at the least. And it's also just really good poke. I mean, the 20% doesn't sound like a whole lot until you get 20%, and then now the bonus 40% crit that comes on top of it. So if you can land one of those crits, it's good. And also kind of speaking on the passive, your kind of standard build that you would do before get you up to that 70% crit. It's not a big deal. You're right there. Now that gives you almost about another 10% roughly as far as your build goes. So it's not a massive increase, but you are going to feel the extra crit chance coming through now.
Yeah. One more thing on top of that as well. If you remember way back early into the show, it feels like an hour ago now, we also buffed Cyclopean Ring and the Nimble Bancroft's Talent as well. So those are 2 items that he can build. So all of that coming together, one of these gods that was just not favored at all, was not all that popular, and the players that did play him weren't the happiest to be playing him. Now they get all of this stuff in one patch, and we hopefully can see him back in the meta again.
Yeah, see a little bit of the return. Awesome. Well, to continue moving down, a god that has always held a special place in my heart, Mulan, getting a little love here.
Yeah, Mulan. She is here as well. So Grapple. This change is very, very in the same vein to the changes that we did with Ymir earlier in the show and Hercules last patch.
Feels good. Okay.
It is a feels good change where Mulan may now rotate during the pre-fire of Grapple. So you're aiming the bow.
Awesome.
You can
Much
still aim it the whole time.
That's right. Hit those
Yep.
trick shots as well.
Yeah.
Those 360s.
Dude.
Really cool.
360
I will whiff
grapple
all
shots.
of those.
Absolutely.
Important that you try. That's okay.
And then on top of that, we've got Divine Mastery. This is her ultimate. Mulan is now no longer required to hit an enemy god to use the knock-up and projectile portions of this ability. So you can use it to gain ground now if you want to. You don't have to go through a god to be able to poke them from further away. It feels really nice to have the extra utility of those CCs and not have to worry about being on top of someone to get it.
Makes your choices much more dynamic. In reality, if the way you could look at this as well, if you wanted to engage a fight as Mulan and they're 70, 80 yards away from you, you can ult forward, not even be in range of hitting anybody, but then you get the next part of your ultimate. So you can ult forward and then knock them up in the distance as well to help your team engage. Same way on the back out as well. You can ult out of a team fight, turn around, knock them up, and then run away. Even if you're not hitting people with that first part of the ultimate, you still get the subsequent parts. And obviously, you still have your opportunity to cancel it if you just want to right-click out of it on PC.
Yeah.
Feel free to do that, but it just adds more dynamic options for the way to think about this ult when you're playing gods, when you're playing Mulan and playing against Mulan.
Yeah, a lot of times you think about taking like restrictions from the ability to weight decreasing skill expression, but this honestly has increased it quite a lot.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for me that removes a feels bad case that used to happen where you're in a fight and you throw your ult out and you feel assured you're about to hit somebody and then you do the dash and you don't get any of the other portions and you're like, I don't understand how I missed that, but we're in this team fight, I've blown my ult already, and like I don't get the other two components. So I love that a lot because it removes kind of that feels bad, I just whiffed, that's my fault type scenario. You can still turn around and get utility out of it. So super great to hear. This next one, definitely a little fun. We get Fafnir up with some changes.
Yeah, Fafnir definitely has fallen in the category of the unpopular, underperforming.
Not quite doing
poor
it.
Fella. Poor fella.
Poor fella category.
But we've got a couple exciting things here for Fafnir. So Fafnir is a greedy little guy. So what we are doing is giving Endless Greed a brand new effect, which is Fafnir now gains 1 gold per enemy god hit with his abilities. And then on top of that, during his ultimate, Fafnir gains 2 gold instead. Because, I mean, let's think about it. Is he really just fighting you to fight you? No, he wants your gold, man. He wants you for your gold.
Getting
That's
in those
about
pockets a little bit, yeah.
So essentially, this is a once per ability per target. So if you are, hitting everyone with Coerce, you're only ever going to get 1 proc of this. You're not getting infinite money, every time your allies are spamming somebody with basic attacks or whatever it might be. You can only ever get up to 5 gold in your dwarf form and 10 gold in your dragon form from 1 ability cast if they hit everything. But they have to, essentially get active to get more gold. So he's definitely going to have that extra bit of spooling.
We talked about this topic a lot in the last patch notes show a month ago, where we just want to get people back into the action, fighting more often, and just the real fun part of the game, right? No matter the game mode, start fighting other gods. That's the fun part. His old passive, well, it's the same passive, but this is just an added point. It was just all about being around the minions when they died, clearing those, making sure you get that extra gold. Now you can be around or you do the same thing, you still get that same amount of gold, but now you can also not feel punished by going to fight enemy gods because you're missing out on farm. Now you could even build a bunch of cooldown, hit gods more often, get gold more often, and ult more often to hit gods for double the gold. Like, it just adds another way to think about playing the same character, which is really fun.
Yeah, you get to change that Fafnir grind set. You can either be the minions or the gods. You have it both ways.
Yeah,
I know there's another point too, but we can dive in game to kind of show. These are good ones to showcase.
Yes, this is going to be a nice
for sure.
one to showcase.
So as we talk about this next point, so we got our boy Fafnir, and you can see him making money.
Oh yeah, he's going to be making money when he hits abilities. See that
There it
1
is,
gold?
1 gold.
Yep, 1 gold, baby. That's right. We are getting money.
We are making.
But on top of that, we did want to talk about the other change that we did to Fafnir here, which you might have seen on screen a little bit earlier. Draconic Corruption. You go into this ability the same way you always did, but if you are leaving Draconic Corruption, you get out approximately 20% faster. So if we can get a little D-transform here, way faster, and now you're right back in the action. It does always kind of suck to like watch yourself die as Fafnir as you're coming out of the ultimate.
You know your ult's gonna run out, and then it does, then all of a sudden there's a Poseidon Whirlpool, and you know a Kraken's coming immediately.
Yep, they're just waiting for you to be CCable again. So you are getting a bit of a trade-off, right? You're not going to be keeping that CC immunity for as long anymore, but you do get to get back in the action a lot faster. So it is nice in some ways, and it's a fair trade-off, I feel like, to let Fafnir kind of get in there and not feel so bad about leaving his dragon form, because one of the nicest things about Fafnir is being in the dragon form.
That's right.
But you never want to leave.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit less bad when you feel like you gotta go.
Yeah, you get out quicker, so you can get back in quicker later. So super cool. I love that's the type of mini game I love to see. The like get gold by fighting. That is something that I will get into the game and I'll be like, all right, the goal for this game, get bread.
Yeah, we found that a lot. In fact, old Teleria boots used to be this way as well. Or maybe they were called something else. I can't remember exactly what they were, but you would get gold when you would hit a target. This is a similar thing. We saw it with Prophetic Cloak as well. When you hit a god, you get a stack of that. And everybody really loves these mini games of getting in combat and fighting other gods. So we hope that Fafnir players like it especially.
I think it's a good change. Personally, we'll obviously wait to hear what y'all say, but I'm all about it for my boy. So next up, E-Shell.
Yeah, E-Shell is a relatively recent addition to the roster of gods. It's almost been a year now, which is kind of crazy to think about. But holy crap. Right. Anyway, E-Shell, great end. This ability has definitely been the most contentious when it comes to discussion around E-Shell. So one thing that E-Shell previously did not do that she now does is when she hits an enemy god with this ability, even if she's not hitting an allied god, she will now heal. So this ability is way, way, way more useful in those one-on-one situations where you're not able to, have an ally around and try to balance between them. That part's always challenging. And then on top of that, ability to hit an enemy and heal, you will also still be able to hit an ally and heal. You can do those both, but they don't stack on each other, so it's always the same amount of healing, no matter if you're hitting enemy, ally, or both. Doesn't matter, same amount of healing. Additionally, we also fixed an issue where this ability was slightly too narrow, so hard to hit. Again, it's still hard to hit, but it's a little bit more as intended to be, more accurate to the targeter, and it just feels way, way, way better. I can say that it just feels like I'm hitting it more, even though the art is not different. It's really only a smidge bigger, but it feels like night and day. Yeah.
Feels really good as well because sometimes you're in Ishel and you just got caught out by yourself without an ally near you. You've only got so much peel for yourself to peel off a jungle or something like that. Now you can actually ult them defensively to heal yourself as well, which feels really good. Just another way, again, to play your god.
Nice. Love to hear it. So next up, you might have seen this one if you were paying attention on Twitter. Got to kind of tease this one a little bit. Bastet has something going on with those claws, those kitty claws.
Yeah, Ensnaring Claw. This is her third ability. So in this ability, she spawns a cat. The cat's health is going down. We know that this ability can be quite frustrating to play against, and we understand that having it be basic attack damage is definitely a barrier for some gods, right? Especially the low attack speed gods. They just have an issue getting through this cat. So again, because we're doing a change to this, we want to bring that down. That's the first piece of the puzzle here.
Just the first bit.
Yeah. Let's move on to the second piece. The cat now does damage. The cat is now damage and CC immune until it hits an enemy or reaches its max range. This was very, very important to Bastet players, as we've seen, because sometimes the cat will just die mid-projectile, and then essentially your cat has done nothing.
Yeah.
So now that's no longer a thing. It does not get stopped by whirlpools or stuns or anything. It'll just continue along its path until it reaches the enemy that it's trying to get to. But again, it's going to be weaker now. You can kill it much faster, and you can still walk away from it. That's the most important thing. Now, finally, the final piece of this puzzle. The initial hit of this ability now damages and roots all enemies in a 10-unit radius around it. So kind of flashback to another Bastet ability of years past. This is just going to be so nice to help with clear.
Jungle clear especially.
Especially jungle clear, which Bastet is generally weak at. She is considered an early game god that does, scale decently well to the late game, but her clear is just not the greatest.
Yeah, no, it felt sometimes, if you're playing Bastet jungle, you'd jump over a wall into a jungle camp, and then you'd to the jungle camp as well, and then so that jungle camp is cleared, you'd move on to the next one. All of a sudden, all you've got is your single target 3 and your single target auto attacks just waiting for your 1 and your 2 to come off cooldown. Now, you can actually use your 3 to be able to help you clear those side camps as well as the big one. Makes your single target damage just be focused on the big one, while your 3 can clear the sides. Much better. As well, if you want to play Bastet in the solo lane, you can use it against the melees, the archers, and help you clear that wave. So all in all, a good feeling change for not a bad performing god, but again, just a feeling change on both sides of the coin, right? We want it to be easier to kill for gods that struggle to kill it, that have slower auto attacks, but feel better for Bastet so it doesn't die. During that travel time, there was multiple scenarios where I was playing and I'm Jormungandr, for example, and I could just be breathing while a cat gets thrown at me, and before it would even reach me, it would die to the breath. Yeah, so that's not fun for anybody. This fixes both of those issues. That's the intent of these changes.
Yes, exactly.
Nice. Well, good changes to see. And we do have that Twitter clip again, just for those of y'all who might not have seen it.
Why not?
Take a gander at it. Yep. So.
Yeah, and every skin has an updated targeter as well, so you'll be able to see the little circle where it will be doing damage in. And there's another part of this clip that we'll get to a little bit later.
I could see as well. But you also see the root animation or the root FX on each of those targets in the circle as well. So everybody that is getting hit will know why they were rooted.
Yeah, and much like you said, there's another sprinkle of surprise, another layer for the veteran eye, but we're getting close to that. So to end this section, in particular God balance, the last on the list is Charybdis.
This one's huge.
This one
This one's really, really big.
Charybdis got a beefy change here. So Raging Tides, let's start with.
All right, Raging Tides, her passive. So essentially, there have been a lot of discussions about Charybdis and why Charybdis has a couple of, awkward bits to her, and we totally understand the feedback coming from those different perspectives, and we're trying to kind of reach a nice midpoint of where we believe that she's going to feel really good for the Charybdis player while not feeling too bad playing against her as well. So first up, Raging Tides. We're going to allow her to get tied a little bit faster here for her basic attacks from 2% to 3%. This adds up over time, especially if you consider having the triple attack. It's going to feel real nice. Up next, Capsize. This ability has previously felt a little bit awkward to cast. You're like, when do I cast this? Like, am I supposed to, interrupt myself while I'm fighting someone to get that extra prot shred? But we're going to be decreasing the time to full charge from 1 second to 0.75 seconds. So you're really spending a little bit less time actually, not
punishing.
fighting. Less punishing to actually
get it fully charged.
Yeah.
Exactly. Next, this change is very big. And you're going to look at it and you're going to go, Lermy, what do you mean? Let me break it down for you.
All right.
Charybdis, as a character, can be very difficult to kind of have good interactions with sometimes because of the way that her timings work and because of the way that her abilities animate. A lot of that is not super flexible within the space that we can work with at this point in time. So we have to kind of make some concessions here and there to kind of get a good feeling character in some way or another. And it's really, really important to us that Charybdis feels good for the Charybdis player. If you're not having fun playing Charybdis, you're not going to go back and play her again. It's just as simple as that.
That makes sense.
So we really wanted to try to improve this feeling for the Charybdis player without, again, damaging that reputation that she has of being super safe, of being really escapable. Too much from the enemy perspective as well.
Yeah.
So we are adding CC immunity during the pre-fire of this ability, which means that yes, the dive in only.
Yeah, the splash.
So when she's actually going into this ability, she can no longer be canceled out of it. She can still be damaged while she's flying into the ability, so you can kill her before then. But she is going to be getting into that ability. Nothing's going to stop her other than dying. On top of that, what we're doing is we understand that that's a huge change. That's a really, really big change. We understand that. So what we're doing is we're making that ability more of a juke and less of a runaway button.
Right.
So the movement speed that you get for just going into this ability is gone. You don't get 20% anymore for free. You're getting 0%. So you are still immune. You are still undamageable, untargetable. But you're not moving any faster than you were before. But you can still move slightly faster if you amplify this ability by using your Tide.
Yeah.
But we're taking that movement speed down from 40% to 25%. So again, you're not getting any ground if you're using Whirlpool form unless you amplify the ability. So you've got to have the Tide. You've got to be able to do that. Otherwise, you're not going any faster. You just got the immunity, which is still really good, by the way.
Yeah, it's still
really,
very
really good, by the way. But we understand that this is going to be moderately controversial, but please give her a try. Play against her. Just let us know. Keep us updated on the feedback with this ability. We have tested this quite a number of times in playtests and other applicable places, and it feels good. It feels very, very good as the Charybdis player to not get interrupted out of this ability, to be able to feel like you have the chance to get away without, getting canceled over and over again. Things like that have happened before, and we've seen clips upon clips upon clips of that. It's frustrating. Yeah. So we want to try to eliminate the frustration while, again, being as fair as possible. And we really hope that this is a solution that will work out for the future. Again, I know it's very scary looking. Believe me, we had a lot of discussion about this. Yeah. But please give it a try and let us know how you feel. But that's not it. That's not it, ladies and gentlemen. We got one more.
Still got one more.
The Maw Hungers. This is the ultimate ability. In general, we completely understand that this ability feels a little bit clunky to play with. We are a little bit limited, again, just due to the way the character's set up and what our resources look like at the moment, but we have an absolutely goated programming team because they gave us a lot of tools to work with here to make this ability feel better. So it's hard to kind of explain without getting super into the weeds of the different processes and things that happen during this ultimate to make it look as amazing as it does, but they went in there, tinkered with it, and it feels significantly better to use.
Yeah. What I would say is if you're a player that plays Charybdis a lot, you're going to be really happy about this. If you don't play Charybdis at all, now is the time to try it. It feels significantly less clunky. There's no frustration point of getting interrupted when you go into your 3. It's easier to manage your Tide and much more balanced in that way, that you can make the choice to use your Tide for your extra speed in your 3, and your 2 now you don't have to make the decision of, would I rather just be auto-attacking instead of channeling up this wide ability. Now now, this is the time to actually get in and play Charybdis if you haven't yet. And those Charybdis mains, you'll be very happy, I hope.
Yeah.
Nice, all good stuff. Like what a huge number of things that have changed. And as somebody who likes Charybdis but can't nail auto attacks, excited to try again anyway. Even though can't hit auto attacks. That's why you play tanks. Because
not even to mention the Charybdis timing changes that we did last patch.
Oh yeah, Charybdis has been polished.
She's been going through the ringer, I guess, of changes, but all for the better, we hope. So please, again, give her a try. Let us know what you think, and enjoy.
Yeah.
Not even done with this patch, by the way, but we'll continue.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I was about to say
one
more thing. So we've talked about items and gods and a lot of stuff, but now we're getting something kind of crazy. Something kind of these people over here are they're designing out of their minds and trying new and incredible things. And so the header for this section is item proc pass. So y'all have made some changes to the way that item procs work is what I've derived from this. So kind of ease me into it. What brought this on?
So we've set this up in a couple of categories, right? The first category is basic attack items. There are certain characters, due to the way that their basic attacks function, the shape, the size, the frequency, whatever it is, that previously were not allowed to proc basic attack items because it was deemed too powerful.
Yeah.
We kind of started this last patch with King Arthur, and now everybody else is getting in on it. Jormungandr, Baki Gojira, Fafnir, and Charybdis, all getting various levels of changes to their basic attack proccing.
Yeah, I feel bad for our programmers. I joined the design team, and I think on the same day I asked, okay, what if Jormungandr could proc Telkines?
This guy.
On the same day. And it's a question that we really haven't been able to ask before, because when we were implementing duality, we actually had to make some new tech to be able to handle this type of thing. So we're able to use that same tech in different ways. So it really unlocked a lot of possibilities here. So Jormungandr can now proc Telkines, Demonic Grip, Acts of Animosity. He can now also proc and get stacks of Prophetic Cloak with his auto attacks. He could proc Warrior's Axe instead of having to use an ability. Same thing with Baki Gojira. Maybe he could clear the jungle with Mannequin's Mace and things like that. There are a lot of possibilities here. And we were just talking about Charybdis, so coming back to her as well. Charybdis previously had a reduction on all item procs just at a base level. I believe even Mystical Mail was reduced by this same tech because it was just a very basic reduction. Now we're changing it to be just that triple shot is reduced by 33%, and all of the other ones, Spike Shot, which is your one, and your other auto attacks are now not reduced at all. They're back
100%.
They're back to being 100%.
Jins is so back.
Exactly. So now it just feels so much better playing that god, and it makes so much more sense as well. So on top of all the Charybdis changes we did before, there's this as well, and you'll see a last god there, Fafnir, in his dragon form, 25%. That's intentionally a very low number. So that's 25% is the amount of damage and healing that you're getting from these items. Think Death's Embrace on your Fafnir Dragon, healing insane amounts if you had to 100%.
Cyclopean Ring.
Cyclopean Ring, because you'd reset that cooldown quickly. Acts of Animosity, Telkines Ring, all of the above. That is 25% of that, so a 75% reduction.
Yes, and he's lower than the others simply because his Fire Breath is just faster and more frequent, really, the procs happen. So you would be getting quite a lot of Telkai.
Fafnir, one of the gods that can actually go above the attack speed cap because of his dragon form, and then he can buff himself with his 2 as well. So if you're building those attack speed items, rocking them very quickly, it was pretty insane in playtest.
Nuts. Okay.
Yeah, and it really, when we tested this the first time, it made me like, oh, that's why we've never done this before.
I get it.
But with this new tech, we can adjust it and we can scale it in ways. And maybe this won't be the final pass in it. If there's feedback and there's balance issues, we can always adjust it. But now that we can adjust it, we're there and we've unlocked a whole new possibility. The same with this next change we've got going on.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, you just led into it. Let's dive in with the next change.
Pets is the next category. Pets. So this is going to kind of be the final thing that we're talking about today. I kind of want to preamble a little bit just before we get into the pets. We know that there are some abilities that don't proc item effects. That, unfortunately, did not fall into the same tech with these guys. So there are going to be some things that might be missing here that you're like, why doesn't this proc? Or why have you guys not gotten to this? We're getting there. We're still evaluating them. We had to do a couple extra steps to get there. It's something that we're considering for future patches. It's all going to depend on where the technology ends up. So still working through that. Be patient with us. We got a list here, though, for you that's working right now. So let's get to that list.
We're getting started.
Pets. We had to kind of make a rule because there's a lot of different sorts of pets. So you're going to see the pets divided into 3 different categories, essentially. You've got your single target attacks, your multi-target attacks, and your AoE attacks. So first up, a couple examples of single target attacks are Scotty's Calder. And so these are only proccing ability items. They do not proc basic attack items, only ability items.
Specifically the dash, by the way.
Yes, this is Calder's dash. So when he is essentially, leveled up enough, he'll do a dash to attack someone that's on a cooldown, but it's only ever one person. So they will proc for 100% damage and heal. So Crusher will do 100%.
Heartseeker,
etc.
Bluestone, all that. Yep.
Tiamat, same case with Summon Beast. One target only. It's going to do 100%.
Yep. Soul Reaver, Soul Gem, Ethereal Stuff, all those things.
Divine Ruin.
Yes.
Threatening.
Yep, lots of really fun stuff there. Let's move on to the next category, though, which is going to be multi-hits. So it's still single target, but it can bounce around or it can re-aim or anything like that. So Artemis's board charge, this is not any of the board basic attacks, it's just the charge. So they will all proc at 75% damage and heal. That's a good example of one. Another one is Vulcan's Inferno Cannon Shot. So this is every time the Inferno Cannon fires,
That's
75% damage and heal.
Yeah. Finally,
Yeah.
you can get some
Yeah, it's crazy.
anti-heal on Vulcan and be able to proc it with your turret and
Yeah, drop the
soul
turret
gem
down.
stacks every time it shoots a god and things like that. Really opening up more build possibilities and just being more creative with your builds.
That's really cool.
Maybe we should visualize what that
Yeah,
looks like for
let's
Vulcan.
take a
though.
look.
Yeah,
Let's
dive
take a
in.
look.
See
Please
what,
do.
what the turret can actually really do now.
Show us, please.
Yeah, please.
Oh, yeah. Look at all those yellow numbers.
Look at the
Soul Gem.
This is a good time to highlight something as well because Vulcan being a magical god, having Soul Gem actually, sorry, not Soul Gem, Soul Reaver has a subsequent hit reduction on it anyway. So the first hit will do 100% damage on a normal ability, and then every time after that, during that 3-second period, it will do half damage. So you have to remember as well, Vulcan's turret is 75% damage, so it's actually 75% the first time and then half of that the next time. So these are all getting reductions to be balanced in some way, and that's why this change was possible and hasn't been done before. It's because we have this tech, we can adjust it per ability and make these new rules where these multi-hit abilities like this have reductions. The AoE hits will have even greater reductions.
Which we'll get to those up next, shall we?
Yeah, dive in.
We spoke about her earlier. One of those AoEs for 50% is going to be Bastet, her ensnaring claw hit, so that circle area is what's going to be proccing items. Hera, also back again with Argus's Divine Shroud Aura. That's when you use the 3 when Argus is out. And then Argus's Initial Slam as well coming down when you summon him. Up next, we've got Nuwa, Clay Soldier Dash. And this is a special exception being at this 50% damage because you go, learn me, they're only ever dashing one time. Well, here's the thing. There's 3 of them. So having 100% 3 times on the same target is going to be a lot.
Pretty nutty.
A lot.
Yeah,
So
pretty
that's
crazy.
why she's getting a special exception. And then also on top of that, you've got Set, which has got the clone skewer. That's the skewer that's coming from the clones, not Set's. Totally fine for Set. Any extra ones are getting this reduction on them, but they'll proc, again, Crusher, Heartseeker, Bluestone, whatever you want.
Yeah. So, man, I mean, that's a lot of crazy. Like we went over that, and it feels like it passed in an instant. But that's a lot of potential play. Like that's.
Yeah.
Oh, I should start building on hit because of my abilities, or like that's. I don't know. There's
That's
a lot,
right.
especially the Vulcan turn.
It got even crazier behind the scenes. I'll share this as well. When we implemented this tech, it was on all pets. So I'm talking arachne spiders, Erlang's dog, Tiamat's serpents, right? We had at one point each of arachne spiders proccing kin size, each of them proccing executioner. And so we took this tech, made it crazy, and then scaled it back from there to a point that we're actually happy with it.
So all of that is possible, but there are effects like that, like especially with the basic attack items, and that's that basic attack that we are not touching at this point in time because we feel like they are just not going to function in a way that we are happy with at this point in time.
So a good way to look at this as well is like certain pets have abilities, just like we're talking about Calder's Dash, Hera's Landing and Hera's AoE. Those are abilities on pets, so they proc ability items. We're staying away from the basic attacks that would proc basic attack items for now at least.
Yes, so no Nenes, no spiders,
That's right.
no Erlang dogs. All of those guys are not involved in this at all. It's just the pets that have abilities.
That's correct.
You saying no nays. I have a friend who's gonna like attack me on Twitter after this now because
For the best, trust me.
Yeah, I'm
So
I'm
sorry.
sure. I'm
Sorry,
sure.
Kuzma
but
mains. not quite.
we're still rooting for you, turtle dudes. Well, shoot, that does it, I guess, huh? We did it. We talked about 11.5. Yeah, that was crazy.
It's all there.
Yeah, thank y'all for that. That was, again, y'all have been cooking. I kind of been away for a little bit, so I came back, and last weekend and like Monday of this week, I've just been trying to catch up with all the craziness y'all do, and it's not easy because y'all work hard and fast. It is impressive. So huge shout out to y'all, and thank y'all for hanging out with us today. We are in to our 5th update of year 11. It feels like we were just at SWC like a week ago.
Oh.
And now we're playing alphas or early alphas for Smite 2 and talking about the 5th update of the year.
It gets better and better every time, I feel like.
And it's going to keep getting better and better, and I hope y'all know that. So, again, thank y'all all for coming out. To close the show, PTS, y'all always know it's going to be up sooner than later, so make sure you're keeping your eye out on Twitter. We'll let y'all know when the doors open. You can get in, start testing out all this craziness. If you happen to miss anything or want to run back or want to see the numbers again, make sure to check out the update notes. You know they're going to be going up. They're going to tell you all the crazy stuff we just talked about in detail, so you can go and start theory crafting your builds and getting ready for that ranked climb with all these crazy new things going out. Also, make sure if you're interested in hanging out with the devs, getting a little more dev insight, it's not going to be today. We're not doing it after the show like we have done in the past. It's going to be on Friday. We've been doing all kinds of fun stuff. Production's always doing fun stuff on Friday, so make sure you're coming out for that, for a little dev insight. Bring your questions, start looking through everything and formulating, like, why is this way? How does this change? Why hasn't this changed? You know, feel free to bring those things in on Friday, because we're going to have the devs hanging out and talking through and answering some of those questions and kind of diving a little deeper into some of these changes and why things did or didn't happen and what it meant, and maybe more of that that back-end stuff that it's a little too granular for right now, but it's really cool to hear about. So make sure to check that out on Friday. I'm going to repeat myself. I know I repeat myself a lot. Thank you so much for this for playing Smite 2. Like, it was so cool being able to go into Twitch and see that and see people having a blast with it. All the clips I saw on Twitter, like every time somebody tweeted at me, I don't care if it was, hey, this was, you know, maybe work on this, or, oh, this was incredible. Like, I loved every time I was mentioned in a tweet about it, because that's feedback. That showed how passionate y'all were about helping us continue to grow this into the beautiful gym it's going to be. It already is and will continue to be, because I wholeheartedly promise it's only going to be better every time that we open it up and let people come in and try stuff out. So thank y'all again. And I think that's all the rambling that I can do. So I have no voice left. Again, thank y'all for being here today, all three of you. It was super. Always love getting to come here and do the shows. And yeah, I'm excited to see what y'all cook up for the next update.
Exciting.
Well, either way, thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching.
Later.
See ya.
Made in Georgia.